Okay. All right. I think we're on. I think we are finally on. So there's no music. There's no nothing because technical difficulties abound here at Sports Goofs, here at the bottom of the sports media abyss. But that's what we're known for. What's up, everybody? we are on Sports Goofs number 95. We hit a lot of snag, which is why we're delayed tonight for the live show. But I guess we do have to get some things out of the way, or else the FTC will be on our butts here. We are sponsored.
And we do not want that.
Yeah, this episode is actually sponsored. We're actually getting money for this. Well, we get money but we're getting slightly more money for this episode than we normally do. So we want to thank our sponsors at Podcorn, as you see on the top left corner if you're watching it at the moment. So check them out in the description when I put this on the podcast version. So thank you to Podcorn, and thank you for the tiny, tiny amount of money that we're getting. But regardless, we'll take anything at this point. Right? Well, actually, not anything. As Andrew was telling our special guest who will be here in a moment, that we did deny a sponsorship because what was it, Andrew? They were what?
Sketchy.
Ah, there we go. That's the word. Very sketchy. And I looked them up, and yep, the sketch was definitely high on this sponsor.
As you all know, I am the moral arbiter of this show.
Yeah. He keeps us from getting into huge mountains of cocaine. So that's it.
I would have sold out in a heartbeat.
All right. If Mickey Callaway was on this show, he wouldn't be known as Dick Pick Mick. So.
Well,
ooh,
that's the new one.
That's an early preview to Gottlieb's Goons, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we did an NHL-centric episode a few episodes ago. So this time, we're doing an NBA-centric episode, hence the NBA in the background. Dear Lord, John Stockton's on the screen here. I don't know, this game is very old. And we do have a special guest that Andrew has once again wrangled in, hogtied, and brought into the deep abyss of Sports Goofs. It sounds like it's against his own will, but I assure you it's not. It
is not.
At least he gives the indication that it's not against his will.
Stockholm Syndrome. All right.
Sports Goofs Syndrome?
Yeah. Well, with this, we are the unofficial, unpaid internship of podcast sports media as well.
That is very true.
And that's also another preview to Gottlieb's Goons in the future. So, well, Andrew, introduce our guest, please.
Is he here?
I think it
Yes.
is. Yeah, there it is.
All right.
You can tell by his angelic voice. I could.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, joining us for our second or third?
Third.
This would be number 3.
Third, yeah. We had him once alone, and we had him for the college football extravaganza. And so now this makes episode 3, which I believe makes him sets him alone as our most guested person.
He's like the
most tenured guest.
He's like the Steve Martin of Sports Goofs.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Wow.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Brendan Rourke, is the terminology contributing writer?
Yeah, contributor is fine, but yes.
Contributor for Pacers.com. His team is off tonight, so he was kind enough to join us to discuss his Pacers, the Francisco and Charles Heat, I guess my Magic, even though I don't know what the hell is going on with them, and other 2017's teams in the National Basketball Association.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Brendan Rourke.
Yay! Hello. Thank you for having me on again. I really appreciate it. It's always fun.
I've labeled this episode was it a gondola ride down the NBA river. I don't know why I went with the gondola theme, and I think it was partially because Charles reminded me of that scene in Willy Wonka when they get on the boat and all the trippy stuff starts happening. So, and if you look on YouTube, there's a lot of really awful stuff that happens. And that's basically what's going to happen during this review of the NBA. But I have prepared, because last episode I literally woke up and did the show, and Charles had to carry us the entire way. And then
Which is scary if I have to do it.
And then we just talked about Nintendo the second half of the show. Because I was wholly unprepared after. I guess I was gassed from the NHL episode. So let's jump into it. Let's go. Let's move forward. I have, for the most part, actually I didn't really look at the top teams in the NBA, but let's go into the Eastern Conference because that's where all of our teams are situated, and we're going to start from the bottom and reach our way up to the top. And let's go. The Detroit Pistons, everybody.
Yay.
Give me my crippled ginger baby.
They participate in the NBA for sure.
Oh, yes. the Detroit Pistons, everybody. Home, Little Caesars Arena. Get those $5 pizzas. That might be the only thing that's good about Little Caesars Arena, I guess. I don't know if they even let fans in. That I would assume that's a delicacy that they're offering. But yeah, the Pistons are not a very good team. They're 9-25, the worst team in the NBA. Well, actually, no, they're the second worst team in the NBA at the moment. Oh man, look at these. I pulled up numbers, people. I researched. Their tank is most formidable for sure. The only other team that is going up against them are the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's on the other side when we get to the Western Conference in the second half. But yeah, they're. Let's see. I had on my notes. The only thing they are good at is they have a semi-decent defense, but they are 26th in scoring. 26th in rebounds per game, 27th in field goal percentage, 26th in three-point field goal percentage. They're 9th in turnovers, so they will take the ball from you, but they won't do much with it afterwards. And they're 15th, which is why I said semi-decent defense at points per game allowed at 112.1, but they only score 107.5 per game. So they will be losing a lot, and that's what they have been doing. So that's the Detroit Pistons, and the only notable player that I have been looking at is Jeremy Grant. He's at 23.4 points per game. He's got 36 blocks so far on the season. So
what about my crippled ginger baby?
Well, he's
like Griffin.
He's not going to be. He's not long for Detroit. Come on now.
Well, we know that. So come on over. Give me a massive reduction in that salary. I mean, Jeremy Taché, another one of our people that has been on before, has that same love sensation that maybe if Blake just swung over to Miami on a very reduced contract, because God knows we can't afford him, maybe he would learn to care. And I know the expectation is that he wants starter minutes. Well, you know I don't have love for Kelly Olynyk. So let me have Olynyk on the bench. Or you can put in Precious, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Get rid of the Blake baby. You already got rid of Derrick Rose, who I also wanted to New York. You don't love him, Francisco? He doesn't make you think about the possibilities. He's that ex in high school. They got their stuff straight. They weren't sniffing glue anymore.
Will he be able to make it there though? That's the thing. He's made of glass, all right. He's like your boy Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. So, but I don't know. What do you think, Brendan? What do you think about the Pit? I mean, I don't think you think much. I don't think many people think much about the Pistons, but they're there.
There's not much to write home about the Pistons. I mean, obviously they're struggling. Jeremy Grant does not have any help across the board. I mean, the second best starter they have is probably Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I was looking at the numbers. I'm like, Mason Plumlee is leading them in a lot of categories, and
Plumlee is almost averaging a double-double, which is great for him.
Yeah,
but it is only 10 points compared to Jeremy Grant's 23.4 points. Every other starter on the Pistons roster does not average 10 points per game.
Nope.
The Pistons have beaten some teams wildly. It is quite understandable, quite an anomaly what they've done recently, especially in the month of February. They beat Brooklyn, Boston, and New Orleans in a span of like 8 days. So that's 3 of their 9 wins, which is magical. but if your team is going up against the Pistons, it is considered a can't lose game at this point. Nobody except Jeremy Grant has any firepower on that team.
Yet the Heat
or
have
raises
lost
any.
them, so.
Yeah, the Heat have lost. The Orlando Magic have lost to them as well.
Oof. Yeah. All right. So
yeah, that's about it.
Let's move on. Enough for Detroit. They're like the Ottawa Senators. Just enough. Let's move on. Oh, funny enough, the Senators also had for them a massive winning streak where like they won 3 games in a row against like Toronto and Montreal, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, they did the same thing. It's like, okay, now they're done. They're done. They're about to reach double digits. So, and the same thing for the Pistons. They'll get that one and be like, we got 10. Okay.
No one wants to be the Charlotte Bobcats.
Yeah, well.
Where they got 7 that one year?
Yeah, something like that. Next, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are 14-21. They're not bueno either.
Are we skipping the Magic?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I wrote this off. Don't worry, we'll get to Orlando next.
Okay.
Because I wrote this yesterday, and of course, games did happen. So now,
I gotcha. No worries.
The schedules of it, but they're 14-21. Another bridge year for a rebuilding team. They're bad, but they've had a few bright spots this season. A few games there. They're 4-0 against the 76ers, which goes to Charles's argument that they're frauds, and the Brooklyn Nets as well. So they're 4-0 against those teams, and they're 3-0 in overtime. And they are on a hot streak entering the break. So, yay, Cleveland!
They are.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
Actually, they have one more game, and it is against the Indiana Pacers.
Oh, okay. All right. And
so I have actually done a lot of studying on the Cavaliers as of late.
They're a notable player that I've checked out, Andre Drummond, 13.5 rebounds per game, 40 steals, 18 double-doubles at the moment.
Drummond is actually being sidelined because, and this is a big controversy in the NBA, but the team is sitting Drummond for the potential of a trade. They don't want him to get hurt or anything, and it goes into the argument. Well, James Harden did this while asking for a trade, and then he eventually got to Brooklyn, but he was still able to play. And the team, the Cavaliers organization, has opted to sit Drummond until he is either traded or they work out another deal.
But it works both ways. You sit the man, you trade him off, and you help your tank. So that's the whole thing. I applaud a team that knows how to tank correctly. And this is the way that you tank correctly. Look, there's some formidable tanks in Detroit and Minnesota. If the Cavs are gonna do anything to go up against them, sit your best player and take those losses. This win streak is ruining things for them. What's going on? Come on.
But the thing is, they have some potential because Colin Sexton, this is his third year now. He's really kind of shot up. And I remember his rookie season. It was just it was a typical wannabe shooter coming from college, but he's kind of refined that technique. I mean, getting 23.9 points a game for the season average is impressive. Darius Garland's still having some time to adjust, but it's more or less about JD Bickerstaff, he's the coach now. I'm glad that he's had that opportunity to kind of develop, if memory serves me right, because you look at what they were doing with Boeheim last year, and he was kind of a old man River, kind of retiring midseason, not liking the whole play into it. But Bickerstaff was the interim coach for the Rockets when they fired Kevin McHale. And I always feel like he should have had that opportunity coming into it. So there's some pieces to in place. We all know the reason why they're letting out Drummond also is because they got Jared Allen, I believe, from the three-way Brooklyn trade. So Jared Allen is a fine investment, and he has more of an offensive skill set because Drummond's kind of a callback. I feel like that's been the theme of what I've said in our prior conversation, but he he'll take shots. My friend's a Pistons fan, so he suffered through the Andre Drummond saga, and you'll just see Drummond put up shots that he should just be a putback guy, or trying to get that lob coming into it, but he's trying to take up these contested twos near the rim, and it's just missing everything, nowhere near close to it. So he'll get traded. I want to see people get traded who clearly are not in the plans, and I don't think when you can expedite a trade when it's clearly written on the wall, we have no intention for you, and you really don't want to be there with us, and you still have your contract money. It's a contract that's not going to be renegotiated. It's not going to be maybe the easiest move, but you just got to get them because it's bad publicity, and also it makes you kind of wonder, is it kind of a little bit of an indentured servitude going on here or not, or you just let the guy play ball? There's a lot of issues that come into it, but Cleveland, at least they might be able to have a better second half. Doesn't mean that they'll get playoffs, but they might get into that 8, 9, 10 range to consider.
Yeah, they definitely could get into that 8, 9, 10 range and compete in they're having that mini tournament again, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the 8, 9, 10 or whatever.
7 through 10 are the play-in teams.
Yeah. And the two stats that actually stuck out right now is what you've talked about, Sexton, where Sexton actually has scored 20 points in 9 straight games right now. And Jared Allen has recorded a double-double in, I believe, 9 straight games as well. And now they have to play the Pacers, who are on a losing skid.
Mm-hmm.
So they could pick up. I mean, they could easily pick up this win. They'll be riding a 5-game winning streak if they beat the Pacers heading into the second half of the season. So
it's a matter of both sides. Do you go with the whims of the tank, get seduced by the tank, or do you see like it'd be nice if these guys competed for something at least, and they can get the experience and learn? So there's the other side of the argument there. So
they've been screwed by the lottery before, so don't think tank's going to work, because Anthony Bennett comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you want to be as a team? You made the bad coaching hire. Now you have a good coaching hire. You have potential in your players, and it's one of those things. I don't know. It's kind of like trying to take a test that's just an entry exam, but you have just to study a little bit and you'll pass with no problem. Maybe not able to get to a seat. That's how I feel it is with Cleveland. Just try a little bit better, and if anything, go for some established bets if you're trading Drummond and a lottery pick. And then maybe that's good enough to get a run, because you know what's going to happen. There's going to be one team in the East, maybe 2 teams in the East, that suffer the multi-injury to their starters. Brooklyn's kind of that, but they're too high up to fall so down quickly unless Harden goes out too. But it's going to happen. It always happens where 2 starters go down, and maybe you just build that momentum, or they just slide and you just find yourself rising up the ranks.
Okay. All right, let's move on. So that's Cleveland. All right, they're at a crossroads at the moment. Next, the Orlando Magic, 13-22. If they only faced the Southeast Division, they would probably be the best team in the NBA, because they are 4-1 against their own division, but they can't seem to figure out everybody else. And Vucevic is woefully unsupported there. Like, so they are wasting this man's career at the moment. And the Magic are 29th in scoring, 104.9 per game. They're 4th in rebounds, and that's mainly because of Vucevic, 46.6. They're 30th in field goal percentage, so they're the worst shooting team in the NBA, 23rd in three-point field goal percentage. They are 13th in points per game average, and 111.6, and they're 26th in 13.3 turnovers per game. And Vucevic is their lone notable player at 24.4 points per game, 11.6 rebounds per game, 48.3 field goal percentage, 23 double-doubles, and 116.5 offensive rating. Get that man some help, please. He is drowning in Disney World. He is in Lake Buena Vista right now, just drowning. Andrew, save him. Andrew, give the Magic your love, so that they can save them, like the Lightning and the Bucks. Well, the Bucks he bandwagoned. Whoa.
The issue the Magic have is that all of Vucevic's help is hurt. It doesn't matter. It's been a rotating door of players for the Magic. I mean, they were they started the season, I believe, like 6-2, and then Markelle Fultz goes out the entire year with an ACL.
Yeah, and
who was having a literal probable comeback player of the year.
Well, they don't have that
season.
They don't have that award. It's the most improved player of the week award now. It's
yeah,
no longer comeback player, but
and Aaron Gordon's been out since February, or since the start of February, and I mean they haven't and will not have Jonathan Isaac, their star defensive player, for the entire year still. And now their nice shiny rookie Cole Anthony has been out. Yeah, he's been out since middle of February with a rib fracture, and he'll be out until at least past the All-Star break, is the last I've heard of them. And then it's been a rotating door of all the other injured people. I mean, Al-Farouq Amino has missed time. Michael Carter-Williams has missed time. Evan Fournier has missed a couple of games here and there. He's back. He's been doing well for him as their kind of three-point specialist. But I mean, if you were to play the injury card for one team, one NBA team this season, I would put it on the Orlando Magic.
Okay.
If you were allowed to put it on someone.
Yeah. Good points. Yeah, the man just, there's no help. What is there a hospital at Disney World that can put some of that Disney magic? Tinkerbell can just kind of wave the wand and save everybody. Not sure. Not sure. Okay. Next. This is gonna be fun. The Washington Wizards. Okay, Vucevic, at least you have the injury card that he can play. But Bradley Beal, aside from Russ, who's having he's doing Russ things. The man needs some help. They are what his numbers are ridiculous so far. It is,
I think he's close to 30.
33
plus a game.
33.2 points per game, which is the league leading. 48.5 from field goal range and 41 steals at the moment. And Washington, they're seventh in points per game. So
they just can't play defense.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They just can't play defense. They are 29th in points per game allowed at 119, and they're seventh in 114. So there is the reason that's how you see it. That's how they're losing. That's why they're losing.
But they've increased a little bit because a couple of weeks ago when we started the state of NBA, I think when the season was in its inception, they were woefully bad. Now they're just bad. I don't know how long of a leash Scott Brooks has, but it's coming, and it's coming. And I don't know what their expectations were, if they even really consider themselves to be a playoff team, but with Beal and to a degree with Russ, there should be some competitive level. And the problem is with Russ is I think anywhere he gets traded to, he's going to be a statistical darling. And that's the player he wants to be now. And that's okay because in the NBA, having a statistical darling matters. It gets the jersey sold. It gets the tickets to have people come in. But I think after that, what you're working with, Gary Trent Jr., I'm bringing up the roster right now.
Robin Lopez is on the team.
Raul Neto, who has basically been kind of running around as your second year, but he was in Utah, if I remember well. Ish Smith's out, so he gets a pass there. Ryu Hachimura.
Yeah.
And then Mo Wagner, who the only people who actually liked Mo Wagner were the people who didn't want Mo Wagner traded away when he was with the Lakers. Oh, and then you have Alex Len, who, Phoenix, and then everywhere else. He's just a big man who's kind of signed up. They have Robin Lopez, but we don't know who does that. But they're just kind of one of those interesting teams because I think I just like Bradley Beal too much now, and it's sad, but it's a little bit of albatross contract, whereas in comparison, you're seeing in Houston, and they're sucking for different reasons, but it's kind of couldn't you just kept the band together with Wall and him anyway? I mean, Russ's triple-doubles are great, but stat speaking, but I don't know how much longer their coach has, and I'm very interested, but I just feel bad for Beal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to piggyback off that. It's tough seeing Beal put in all this work. And then you have Russell Westbrook, who is getting 20 points per game, but you got to look at his, field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, especially. I mean, he's not exactly your 3-point specialist, but he is averaging 3.5 3-point attempts per game, but he's only shooting 27.5% from beyond the arc. And I mean, he's averaging 42% from the field in general, while Beal is averaging nearly 50%. So he's not, he's not blowing up the stats and helping Beal as he should. And I mean, he does lead in rebounds and assists for the team, but you need more. You need more. That's it.
Yeah.
So, fair question I want to ask you, and this will be my last thought on Washington. And it's really unprecedented to have a team that is probably not going to make the playoffs, but you have one player really elevating for every single win. There has not been a Washington victory that has not had Beal really in play. Can we just get rid of this whole concept that you don't have to be on a great winning team for the possibility of being an MVP? Because he's that guy who's kind of showing that for consideration. This team might be under 500, and he should still be in, I would say, the top 5 of the voting. I don't know if he's 1-2, especially how much leeway do you want to give KD and LeBron. I think KD may lose some points because of the fact that he's going to be out so long for the season. But I think he kind of could feel a little bit of consideration. I know Harden's probably going to be everybody's top at the end of it because he's going to come close to a triple-double and in a different manner. But you got to give Beal some love. And if he has any contract accelerators because he's just doing so fantastic, let him get them contract accelerators too.
And yeah, that goes back to my old adage of the entire MVP conversation for any sport. He is literally the Wizards' most valuable human being. It's like, without the Wizards, without Beal, nobody's watching the Wizards. Maybe a few Russell Westbrook fans stick around, but you can't put Westbrook as first fiddle and expect the output you want. So Beal is that most valuable player for a team. Kind of like Russell Wilson in the NFL. But anyway, that's a different topic.
Yeah. Okay. So, next, the Atlanta Hawks. 14-20. They exist. They exist at the plane of mediocrity. That's what I got for them. They're scoring 113 points per 100 possessions, while they have allowed 112.9 points per 100 possessions. So that's not really the best spot that you want to be in. They're 14th in the league in scoring, 21st in points allowed, 8th in rebounds, 21st in field goal percentage, 19th in 3-point field goal percentage. And you have Trey. That's one player, but I highlighted Clint Capella this time.
Clint Capella's playing great, man.
Yeah, 14.1 rebounds per game. That leads the NBA. 59.2 field goal percentage. He's got 70 blocks. That's third in the NBA. He's had himself a good year out in Atlanta.
I mean, he was great in Houston, but the reason why they traded him is because D'Antonio wanted that small ball kind of look, like super small ball. And you do that. Capella was always kind of a special guy. He was Howard's heir apparent. He was already in play as a rookie, I think, in the second year that Howard was there in Houston. And I feel like the Charles Stradamus effect came in because about 2 weeks ago, Brendan, I crap talked the Atlanta Hawks because I think my conversation with Francisco was, what the hell's going on? Because they, on paper, between Trey, Capella, and God, I forget his other name. Their forward.
They have John Collins.
John Collins. Thank you, Collins. That should be just so much better. And they just recently fired Lloyd Pierce. I think he was the second coach firing this year because the first one was Ryan Saunders, which was appropriate to fire that because he just wasn't ready. He was coaching like a G League. And I know there was injuries and stuff like that, but only some people get the injury excuse as a coach. But I think they want Nate McMillan from the reports I've been reading, and their whole thing is about the loyalty concept. I think Nate McMillan be this might be his last hurrah, because I don't see anybody really want to give him that opportunity. I would feel, because you've had not one but multiple attempts to make your name in it, and it hasn't resulted in anything that you wanted. But you want to kind of consider too, because that's a good core. I mean, Trey is always offensively good, but he isn't good defensively, and that was kind of his not coming out of Oklahoma when he was a college player. And sometimes you wonder, but it's just such a good core of what they could be maybe 2 years from now if they get the right people. And that's for any team, I think, when we say about a young team. But there's valid reasons of why we say these things. So Atlanta, maybe they come around. I don't know, but they're an interesting team for me to watch and observe.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be interesting, especially with Nate McMillan, because, I mean, Capella's going to be the factor after that point. Trae Young's going to get his points. That's Trae Young. But McMillan, after covering him with the Pacers last year, McMillan's going to run your old style, run the play through the center down low type of offense. And it's going to be interesting to see if Capella can handle. I mean, he's already handling pretty well, but it's going to be interesting to see if Capella can handle McMillan's offense in the second half of the season, because he's going to have a lot of responsibility.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Atlanta. So let's move on. Chicago, 15-18. They are also they're just sneaking in there at the 10th seed with the play-in round, I guess, if the season ended today. They've got pieces, but they are a young team and they don't know how to play defense. And once they figure that out, then maybe they'll be fine. They're 8th in scoring, 114.7 points per game. 3rd in field goal percentage, 9th in three-point field goal percentage, but they're 24th in points allowed. And they're 1st in turnovers. So, yeah, and Zach LaVine having himself 28.7 points per game, 52.4 field goal percentage at the moment. So Chicago, how do you guys feel about the Bulls?
I mean, I don't see them improving anything above mediocrity with the way they play. I mean, again, you're going to have your stars, but you're going to need time for Kobe White to develop even more. I mean, Kobe's going to be, barring any injury, Kobe's going to be, a stellar player for years to come. They've lost Lauri Markkanen, their 3-point shooter, for a little bit now, and they're lacking on that end as well. They're lacking. I mean, Lauri's was averaging the second most points per game before getting hurt. So I don't see them improving unless you're right, the defense improves, but they love to score and they don't love to get back. That's basically it. I mean, you could say that for Brooklyn too, but when you have 3 good scorers on Brooklyn, they can get away with it a little more.
Okay.
Blow it up. I don't think they're going to get better, and they're improving under Billy Donovan. I think he is maybe the right coach, but this is my thoughts on Zach LaVine. It's the Devin Booker effect, and I don't know if Brendan was there for my Devin Booker poo-poo session. If you were the only guy and you're the guy, of course you're going to have a higher thing and a higher scoring production. It's what else can you do? And when you're playing a guard position, if I'm going to my Devin Booker poo-poo show, forgive me. When you're playing a guard position, you need to elevate your people, but sometimes it's not going to show statistically on you make assists. It's the assist to an assist. I know hockey does that stat, and I really would love if basketball implemented that. And then we're looking into Zach LaVine, and yes, he's scoring such a high number at 28 points a game. And yes, he's got 5 rebounds and 5 assists, and that's all cute and stuff. But he's kind of been doing this for a while, the last 2 years. It's a slightly higher number now, but he was always kind of like the pseudo stud when he was traded over, because he was always the guy implementing it. And career-wise, it kind of shows. This year, the biggest increase has been his 3-point percentage, because I'm looking at his career stats now. He's going 43 at 3-point. That's great. But I'm not wowed by it. And this is a guy who, if he hasn't had a contract extension, will be getting bigger money out of it. But what are we going to settle for? And you mentioned mediocrity. I just see it. I don't think he's a mediocre player, but he's just the player because Larry Makinen, who's probably not going to get extended out because this is his second injury-filled year, if I remember correctly. And then you have to give time for Kobe, and then everything else falls. For anybody who's listening and trying to conceptualize basketball, or to Andrew, the reason why bad teams are bad is because you don't have the right team built up. It's plain simple math. So Thomas Satoransky, who was basically a backup to the Wizards last year when Wall went down, I think the year prior. Denzel Valentine, who has not developed whatsoever from his draft stock when he was taken. I think he was outside of a lottery pick, but like barely, like a pick 13 or 14. Garrett Temple, who's kind of been bounced around a lot in the East, and then dudes I don't even know, like Adam Makoka. I don't know who that is. I think Kokomo, and I just had the song kicking in my head, and now it's gonna be Cypher. I know who Ryan Arciano is. Is it the right team? Sure, but what do we know about the Bulls? They have history of also not just inconsistent management, but they're also kind of cheap. And so if you're cheap, you're not going to really, and of course, this ad plays as I'm trying to look at just comparison Levine to leave it at that. He was doing all this great stuff last year. He's at 52%, but 2019, 2020, 45% field goal. Year prior, 46% field goal. He was 28 points this year, 25 the prior, 23 the year before that. It's there, but nothing's moving. And yes, I understand too that you can say that, Charles, you had mentioned it, there's not a lot of talent coming into it, but you have better coaching. I think Billy Donovan's an excellent coach now. And they have not put into it. And maybe Making comes in and then he starts making more threes. But Levine, he just, I don't know, man. Am I just petty? Am I stupid? Please tell me. I think I am sometimes. I will eat that humble pie when it comes to Phoenix, Francisco, I promise you. But Levine gives me the Devin Booker effect. I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to be this great. But are you that game changer?
He's going to need help, and it's going to come from Kobe White. But Kobe needs another year, in my shorthanded opinion. They do have, and I'll shout out because the Pacers love this man, they do have bench god Thad Young. I have seen so many tweets and replies. Same with Lance Stevenson, but I think that boat has sailed. But calling for anybody in the Pacers organization to bring Thad Young back, and I think all of them are a little. They got a little bit of kind of past fever with Thad Young. Yes, he's going to bring you energy off the bench. Yes, he's going to do things. Yes, he currently leads the Bulls in steals per game with 1.4. But Thad Young isn't who you should be going to off the bench.
I mean, isn't that was his basically the beginnings of his career? He was kind of like overpaid to different ones, and he's also a little bit of a scorer. But it reminds me of what's the other guy who was kind of like a forward but also played a point guard coming into it. He's been bounced around. He had a big contract from the Celtics. It'll come back to me like 4 days from now because I'm 31. But that,
Gordon
that's
Hayward?
good. But no, not Gordon. Not Gordon. You're prior. Gordon's a different conversation because Boston's really insignificant. But yeah, if it's Thad Young who's kind of past that prime, then maybe it's a mix of both. But you can see the potential, but also part of the Billy Donovan way is that he's just so stuck on his ways that maybe he's not going to be flexible with all the talent that he has.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to your team, Brendan. Indiana.
Oh, fantastic.
All right. They're sitting in a nice, clean 15-18.
They're cozy, that's for sure.
So the 9th spot, 7 games back, and not doing so bueno at the moment. Are they?
No, and I'm just going to say it. The Indiana Pacers are not playing the way they're supposed to. And I firmly believe they have no idea what to do right now. Because the pieces are there. You're going to go down the roster. The pieces are there. They have experience. They were one of the few teams in the offseason that didn't do any massive changes or overhauls to their schedule. I mean, they re-signed Jakar Sampson, who's just going to be a bench piece. But other than that, it's not like it's not like their roster has changed much or anything except for Karis LeVert, who we haven't seen play yet, and losing Oladipo, but they're supposed to be an experienced roster. They're supposed to be above 500. They're supposed to be doing all these things, but it's just not clicking. And one of the things that obviously can be attributed to is the new coach, Nate Bjorkgren, who I believe he's a really good coach, and all the players love him, and all the players say he's always positive all the time. He knows how to run things. I believe Nate is trying to institute too many defensive things at one time. And what happens is during these games, the Pacers will play competitively, but they'll have momentary lapses here and there. Like the game against the Warriors, they just played Golden State on February 24th. They lost by 4. They held Steph Curry to, I believe, 20. I think
you guys
20 points or something like that.
Indiana's like, yeah, you guys are like your definition of average, because you're 15th in points per game at 113, and points per game allowed you're at 112 and 14th. So you guys are
correct.
Yeah.
But the issue is they'll have these momentary lapses during games, and I'll see it, and I'm like, this isn't going to end well, because what happens is Nate Bjorkgren, who's again a fantastic coach, he'll do these odd defenses against, say, I picked the Warriors because of Steph Curry. He'll double Steph Curry at the top, and Steph Curry will not score the entire game. But what happens is Steph, and any star in the NBA, is an apt passer, and he'll find the weak side center for an easy bucket because Miles Turner can't rotate in time, or Domantas Sabonis can't rotate in time. It's not just one person. And Miles Turner, elite shot blocker. No one's going to take that against him. But what Turner has yet to do is establish a way to not throw himself out of defensive position while shot blocking. If he misses, the player's going to score. Like that's because he's out of position, and he's aiming so much for that shot block. And he's an elite shot blocker. I mean, he leads the NBA by
100. He's got 104. Yeah, he's got 104. And he's got I think he's up like 25 on whoever's second. I forgot what that was, but Capella's like third at 70 or something. So yeah, it reminds me. I don't know if Charles, it reminds me of Hassan Whiteside when he was always looking for the block.
Yeah.
Well, Miles Turner is 10 times better.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying.
Well, I've seen, and I was telling Brendan before the show, I like Turner. I like what he does. It's just maybe there's always going to be the hiccups, but those things kind of matter. So my question to you, Brendan, to kind of go from there is, how much time do you want to give this guy before you give up on him in the form of that kind of defensive learning of when to properly kind of, when it's time to box out, to rotate out, make sure that the shot's not going to come in, when to get rid of that mindset of, I got to work on this stat because it's what I'm best at, as opposed to covering all bases. Because if you have a team that's going to kind of go 1 in, 4 out, oof, especially if they have a cut that's coming to the basket, or if they just like switch it up in spacing, and you're going to get that in the East a little bit, especially with a lot of these new age coaches that are coming in. So how do you feel about Turner if there's a different solution? Also, I want to ask you, do you miss Victor yet?
Well, to answer your second question, no. the Pacers don't need Victor Oladipo with the way they play. They're a very share ball, whoever's open gets a shot. And I think when TJ Warren and Karis LeVert come back, you'll see that more. Obviously, it's been reduced to just Brogdon and Sabonis, 2-man game with a couple of wings on the threes. But to answer your Miles Turner question, he needs. I don't want to say he needs help as kind of a cop out, but he needs to improve his rebounding for being a 6'11" center. I mean, there's no reason a 6'11" person, playing down low is averaging 6.5 rebounds per game when your 4 spot, Domantas Sabonis, is averaging 10 or 11. I think he's averaging 11 rebounds per game if I can pull it up quick. But I mean, he needs to establish his position in the box down low when he sees nobody driving the lane. And the issue, the back and forth issue everybody has with the Pacers is, well, you don't look at Miles Turner's stats on the box score, and that's correct. What Miles Turner does during the game is he intimidates anybody driving the paint. But again, you're going to need it. I mean, Sabonis is the only person above 6 rebounds per game, or seven rebounds per game in an average. And Turner's going to have to step up and be that person, or you're going to have to give him help and play Turner with, say, their 2019 draft pick Goga Patase, who hasn't seen enough action to determine, hey, maybe we should invest more time into this 7-foot center or not. And whether that be the fault of Bjorkgren riding too hard on its starters or running a small rotation of 7, 8 guys at a time, the issue is going to be on the boards and Turner not being in position until either, I mean, he gets some help, which they have been asking around. I don't want to quote anybody on that, but I assume that they would be asking people around because they did try to ship Miles Turner off in the offseason to Boston, but that kind of fell through once Boston tried to be too rich about it. It's a waiting game, and they have no more games to wait as to whether the Pacers are going to be good this season or next season. I do think Bjorkgren is the right coach because while they are averaging just, the 15th most points in the league, it's up from Nate McMillan. It's up like 8 or 9 points at this point.
I remember that was your criticism about McMillan. He was more defense first and say bye-bye to your offense. First.
And, I mean, Nate Bjorkgren is supposed to have, this defense, this new wild defense that, he had under Nick Nurse in Toronto. And it's not sticking to these players' heads right now. I mean, they're averaging they're 19th in opponents' points per game. And whether it's because he's trying to implement too many things at once, or whether he's,
well, they haven't completely bought into the system.
Or they haven't bought into the system. They love the coach. I mean, they have no qualms. I've seen it on the players' faces during interviews. They love playing for him. They love his positivity. They're just running out of time to prove it this season.
Okay.
So one question onto it, just to kind of, because you're in the thick of it. I think it's great that we can always kind of bounce your head. So if you had to say, all right, guys, one guy that I need, and the reasonable guy, not that you're not going to get James Harden part 2. Who is it that you feel would be that complete guy, or that guy to kind of, you say, seeking help? Who is that person that you would want on your team?
Lance Stevenson. I'm kidding.
It's a return to form.
Lance Stevenson. That's what all the Twitter trolls say, is bring Lance home, or sign Lance to at least the Fort Wayne Mad Ants in the G League and see how he does. But it's got to be a big man. I mean, it's got to be someone who's willing to give up. I can't really name one off the top of my head, but that's where I would go, is a big man focused on rebounds. I mean, you can throw Drummond out there, but I assume Drummond's going to be way too expensive for what the Pacers want to give up, because the Pacers like their roster continuity. The Pacers like the fact that they have this experienced chemistry together. I mean, Brogdon and Sabonis, McConnell and Sabonis, when Brogdon has to sit out, they're. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Cousins, because I mean, they're going to release him. I'm sure you can get him on a bet thing. It's a little bit about the same issue with Turner, because similar height, but you at least know he kind of has that hustle and the rebounding. I don't think they would work well on the floor necessarily together, but sometimes you have to look into what that second unit, or not even the second unit, but what I call it, the 1B starting, or the 1B bench, right? Where you get a little bit of
like
both.
A bruiser. They need a bruiser off the bench, really. is they need somebody to come in and establish presence in the paint a different way than Miles Turner does. So you give them that mix. When Turner's in the game, no one wants to drive because he can block shots. But then if someone wants to drive the game or someone wants to drive the paint with Turner out, you have that bruiser who's not afraid to make contact with these smaller guards or go up for a gritty rebound. And if Sabonis is on the left block, if the ball bounces to the right block, they're not going to get it most of the time. I mean, until they get that big bruiser down low that can play opposite Sabonis when Turner needs a sit, or can play the 4 with Goga Batase in the second unit or anybody like that. And Cousins, I think, there's a decent argument for Cousins, I'd say.
Okay. Alrighty. All right. So that's your Indiana Pacers. They are in a. You guys got to do something now, or else seasons they're gonna. I mean, I think they're good enough to wind up in this play-in round. Just what are they gonna do after that? Because they've 5 seasons in a row of first round exits.
And a lot, yeah. I think it's 4 or 5, and the last 2 I think were sweeps.
Yeah.
But it all, again, that their rebounding is definitely one of the problems, but I'm not going to play the injury card. But it's going to be interesting to see when Karis LeVert finally gets medical clearance to play. TJ Warren maybe still a ways out, but Karis LeVert seems like the next person to come off the injury list, and he's going to add immediate depth to the 3 spot for them and the 2 spot, really, because I mean you have Justin Holiday, who's a great 3-point shooter and great prototypical 3-and-D defender, but he's normally coming off the bench at this time in his career, and he's playing starting minutes. And then you have Doug McDermott playing the 3 spot right now, and Doug's given the Pacers a lot. They just need another shooter like Karis to help. And it'll be really interesting to see if this team takes off once Karis gets on the court. He's been with the team. He's been practicing. This is what I can say. He's been with the team. He's been practicing non-contact shooting drills. He's been playing 5-on-0 in practice, everything like that. And the rumors are that he might see time definitely after the All-Star break and definitely near or perhaps near the end of March is the best I could say.
Okay.
It would be my guesstimation.
And there's still plenty of season left. So, okay. All right, let's Andrew, are you still alive back there? I just want to get a gauge. I don't know if he's back there. I think we killed him.
Taking that very nice nap.
Yeah, I'm still here, believe it or not.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we're taking a while. We were able to go out of. We might just do the Eastern Conference this episode, and then we'll, because Andrew, you haven't been on the show for the last 3 episodes, I believe. Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, and you haven't gone on your Magnificent World Tour just yet. So you came in today and got us Brendan, but let's I guess we can cover one more team before we get to the halfway point, and then when we get to the second half, Andrew, because you've been off the show, whatever topic you want to talk about, we'll talk about it before we move on to the rest of the Eastern Conference.
Does he know that we took shots at him the last 3 episodes of his namesake in his homeland?
Andrew?
What?
Andrew, he doesn't know.
What did you
We've been
take
teasing people on it. Oh, there was slander.
UCF is
There was
not
libel.
the 2017 national champion. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think he would come over here and kill me if I actually meant that.
There was insults about Tampa and Orlando, and we teased people that we were going to get our just desserts.
It was more about the Tampa Bay thing, but still, and it's mainly because of the Rays, but still. Whatever you want to talk about. Second half, especially because you won't be here for all of the episode.
Well, believe it or not, there is one thing I would like to mention about the NBA.
Ooh,
Well, it's one person in particular.
Taco.
Yep.
Taco.
How's he doing? And how
It is Taco Tuesday.
how much crow do teams have to eat thinking that he couldn't play in the league?
I think he's barely on the floor, bud.
He
Brendan.
he saw a little bit of extra time recently, but yeah, he's barely on the floor.
I'm pulling up his stats now.
he's hanging on.
All right, you guys ready for this? Taco's feeling dangerous. He's Diablo Sauce Taco for the season. This UCF alumni that we all love is averaging 2.6 points, 2.6 rebounds, 0.1 assists. He hasn't played in 8 games, and he's averaging 7.1 minutes a game. Feeling dangerous. And you know what's funny, Andrew?
Doing better than Udonis Haslam.
Doing better than UD, who's just in the spot. Sorry, UD, it's time.
He's a player
Okay,
coach.
so-
He's a player coach.
But they actually need him too, I would say, because they don't
Quotation
have
marks
really
on
a
player.
solidified center. It's Daniel Dice, and that's a no bueno. So I'm with you, but that's where Taco's at right now.
Yeah, but
He's
what's
diet
per
time.
36? That's what I'm talking about.
The per apparently is like 22, which is the most hilarious thing to me. But hey,
He's averaging 13 rebounds per 36. That's all I got.
oh god.
And 13 points.
Sorry, Andrew.
Any other topics? I honestly can't think of anything.
No, I mean, for the second half, you can take this time now to think of something. I know, I mean, UCF has had major things happening. You haven't had a UCF gush session in 3 weeks, so, and you got a fellow alumnus with us as well, so you guys can gush for,
Okay,
you know,
so-
10, 15 minutes.
Gush on the Gus bus.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Gus,
Exactly.
Gus
We were waiting
Mm.
for this.
Kinky.
Gus bus gushing.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to do that now, or do you want to?
Well, we're about to hit the second half, so let's finish this last team. Or we're about to finish the halfway point, whatever. That's the Charlotte Hornets. Let's go, and then we'll move on later on. But yeah, Charlotte Hornets, everybody. 16-18. Gordon Hayward, good pickup. Good pickup. Boston's kicking themselves right now. And LaMelo, Roy, possibly? Question mark. Is he the Roy?
It's either that or Anthony Edwards, but no one watches Minnesota. And
Ah.
the fact that you're going to have... you got to think of it logistically. One team is probably going to finish with 15 wins on the season. One team could be contending in the playoffs. And part of it is really more the play of LaMelo. So
Mhm.
I think it's really just simple and, right there.
Okay.
Doors shut.
All right, well, okay.
Scary Terry's contract is terrible. Or the style of play that he has, plain and simple. I think we could say that 2 years into it. It's one of those weird teams where I say, do they miss Frank Kaminsky? Because it feels like they do, and he wasn't doing anything when he was there. But it's another thing. If Baragio gets another year, and they go.
Let's see. They've got 112.1 points per game, 18th, 46.3 field goal percentage, and they are, what are they? They are 8th for 3-point range, 38.1%.
They're definitely a 3-ball
Yeah,
team.
for real. Yeah, LaMelo's got 7 double-doubles, leads the team in assists, and he's got 51 steals.
He needs to clean up his turnovers, but other than that, he's been doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. So Charlotte Hornets, they are there. They exist. That's when you get around here, it's like, yeah, they exist. We get to these teams, so they exist until we get to like Toronto and Boston and Miami, and once we get there. But yeah, all right.
Feels like Horton hears a Who when they're singing "We are here, we are here." That's basically the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they're another team that'll play in the East, but never win. That's something.
Yeah, more
Okay.
fuel to the argument that the
Yeah.
NBA needs to do away with conferences and just go straight up 1 through 16.
Or you can always stop this whole super team stuff. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Good.
That's a nice happy note to move on to the halfway point of the show. So, guys, and Brendan knows what that means.
Ooh.
It is a word from our non-sponsors, people, places, things, concepts, what have you, that we've been enjoying over the last week, and I guess Andrew over the last 3 weeks. I don't think he's been enjoying much because of a certain exam that we all hate, and we hope will die in a fiery crash if it was sentient. But yeah, well, who wants to start? I mean, I could start if you guys
I think
want.
it's got to be Andrew.
Andrew, do you have something? Or
tones.
you ready?
We've had a cover for him. I'm ready for it.
If not, I can go first. You can.
I'll go first.
Okay.
This will make sense once you hear me talk about it, but my non-sponsor is me.
Okay. All right. Where's
Which was funny because
I'll look up your Twitter page then on the screen for people watching.
Because I finally got the cojones and the brilliant idea to say, I need a man cave.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you were gonna get some Manscaped when they haven't sponsored us yet. But yeah, yeah. But you showed us the first installment in your man cave.
Yeah, my setup used to be out in the living room, the common area, so I rarely, if ever, got to play games because I didn't want to interrupt anybody. But thanks to some developments, everything in the house got moved around, and I basically said, screw it. While this is all happening, I'm going to move everything into my room. So now I've got my Xbox, my 360, my PS4 in here. An Amazon Fire Stick is coming tomorrow.
You gotta get a gaming chair, dye your hair pink.
Hey,
Start streaming a lot more.
Whoa.
On your PS4.
It'll probably be a teal blue instead of pink. Yes.
Call your
Rainbow keyboards.
Yeah.
Controllers.
Yes, exactly.
Whole nine. Rainbow LEDs in the background.
Oh yeah.
It's a different look. And then,
by the way, Ratchet and Clank is free, everybody, until the end of March on the PlayStation Store. If you guys want to get it.
I'll take a look. So yeah, that's it, I guess. That was the biggest change in my life, other than getting this damn exam done.
Okay, yeah. And you're planning your Awesome World Tour at the moment. I know that.
That is true. I'll be visiting my beloved Central Florida very shortly. And, get out of Miami, which it's not that I don't like Miami. It's just I need a break every now and then.
Yeah, I understand that. I think we all understand that wholeheartedly if you've lived down here, for sure.
Miami's definitely a lot.
Yeah, I know. Oh boy. All right. And what's your promo code?
Promo code Cojones.
That's a good one. I like that one. All right. Okay. Well, I guess I'll go next because I've been. This one has been building for a whole month already. I think Charles I think anybody who's been listening to the show for the last month knows where I'm going with this. Metal Gear Solid 5. I completed it last night, finally. Got the last cutscene, got to the final end credits, and finally...
Did you do it like I told you to do it?
What do you mean like you told me to do it? I didn't get an S rank for everything. I didn't do any of that.
No, second to last mission, last, and then last mission, second.
Yeah, because they're all repeats for the most part. I just clicked whatever was yellow and was like, these are repeats. I'm like, okay. That's where, gosh darn it, Konami and Kojima and that frickin'... they could have... It's the biggest... I think it's one of the bigger what-ifs in gaming. What if they had just left him alone and let him complete the game the way it was intended? And there's online you can find a freaking... a cutscene that wasn't in the game was like the last mission that was supposed to be, but Oh well, but whatever. Metal Gear Solid 5, very, very good video game. 106, I think, hours I went into it. 66% completion, so I played most of the game. I'm probably not going to go back anytime soon to finish whatever's left. But it is a very complete game. It's only $20 right now, but I got it on sale for like $7 on Steam. It's like on sale every other month, so at some point, whatever thing you use, GOG or IndieGala or Steam, whatever, you'll see it for like $7-8, and he's like, just get it. It's 100+ hours. You're gonna have a fun time. You're gonna have a good time. There was a point where I was kind of like a zombie, or kind of like the Vocaloid parasited people. Just kind of, I just kept playing. I wasn't even thinking anymore. I just kept playing. It wasn't because I was bored. I was just like, this game just compels me to keep playing. And it is a good one. I love the freedom that they give you with all the options on how to complete missions and things like that. Some missions you can, at some point I was like, yeah, I'm just going to sneak and not kill anybody. And then when I was tired, at some point I was like, I'm just going to kill everybody I see in sight. I'm just going to blast them with a rocket launcher. I don't care about the S rank. And it allows you to do all that stuff. You can do silly stuff too. There's some, if you look on YouTube, some people who are elite level players, and they can do some weird things, and it's pretty cool. I love it. And yeah, it is a good one. I'm glad I experienced it. I'm finished with it. It is definitely a very very, very good video game, and I highly recommend it to anybody for your PS4, your Xbox One, or your PC. Go and get it. Have fun. A promo code Big Boss.
Big Boss.
Yeah, kept you waiting, huh? Okay. All right. Who's next?
I'll go. We'll leave Brendan for last because he's our angel and we love him. To kind of go with the gaming, we're just gonna kind of. It's a product, and it's more of the sensation of a new product. Think about it this way. So I have a PS4. I have many consoles, but PS4 is where I kind of put some, damage on. And I've had some controllers for a while. And as you know, you put some wear and tear onto them, especially with the analog sticks. And how I kind of to alleviate and extend the lifespan of it is I use a little electronic contact cleaner, and it keeps it in there a little bit of longevity. But the two controllers I have 3 PlayStation controllers because I would always get them on Black Friday because they would be down to like $40, and then I just trade in some stuff and then get them for like 5 or 10 because I'm a hustler and I don't pay full price for nothing. If I had a child, I would ask the hospital, how can I get a reduced child or the fee of the child? Anything I can do to save money, that's my thing. Go to the thrift shop, right? But I don't like to buy pre-owned stuff when it's like a controller. It's weird. Someone touched it. Someone's nutsack was probably on it. I can't live with that. But both my controllers kind of went at the same time, and apparently, guys, there has been a shortage of PlayStation controllers because of the virus. And I didn't know that.
There's a podcast I listen to, video games. Like, you can't find PlayStation, Xbox, even Wii controllers. You can't find them now.
Gentlemen, my ignorance to the world of how now I need all cures because I had to wait for some controllers. It was terrible. I went to GameStop. I'm like, all right, I'm trading this stuff in. Give it to me because I have this. And I know I can get it for $10. And they're like, we don't have any. I just sold the last one. I'm like, what the hell do you mean you sold the last one? So they had to order one for me. They now charge a shipping fee when you trade in your old controller. So that's very sad because they hustle the hustler, and that hurt me. But I respect the game. I respect you. Side note on that. Then I went to Best Buy like that day because I had a gift card. So I'm like, all right, free controller. They had nothing except for the ugly ass green camo one. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't wear those long ass jeans and then jorts and then have like I wear aviators, boys. I don't wear those silly ass sunglasses and have my hair spiked. Think about the days of Papa Roach and drinking what's a knock live wire, Mountain Dew. No, that's not me. Those who want that green camo, take your sister out for Valentine's Day. I don't need it. All right. And then I couldn't go to Walmart because I didn't have a gift card there. Cheap. But so at Best Buy, I ordered the gold controller, which was a replacement of what I had. But then at GameStop, fellas, I'm bougie. I like pretty shit. I'm just saying it like that.
You get a third party.
No, I didn't go third party.
Okay.
Miss me with that, Francisco. Authentic, man.
I was about to say.
Authentic. No, I got, because it's about color coordination. I got the rose gold controller. Now, I love my gold controller that I have because, that's like Midas. It's always perfect, and I was fine with that. I didn't want to get black or the white one. And I definitely wasn't doing the green camo that says how much I love Papa Roach and Take It Back Sunday and all that. But I got the rose gold, fellas. The minute it came, I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to take my lunch now because I'm working at home. I just pop it in, charge it. I have loved it. It's sleek. It's beautiful. I feel like I can never wear a grill, but this is like the equivalent of my grill. I can wear the big chains, but that's it. If I had to get my Jesus pieces, this is my Jesus pieces. It's rose gold, but it's my rosebud. Anybody who's seen Citizen Kane knows how important it is. That would be my dying breath as I'm going at 75. Rose gold. The sensation of having a new controller when you've been just kind of like extending the lifespan of something that should have been dead, like a dying relationship or, grandma's old dog that's like 25. But nothing beats getting that new puppy. Nothing beats getting that big old new TV. And nothing beats getting that new controller. And I'm playing Diablo 3 right now, boys, as we're talking, because I needed a game that was mindless. And right now it's the gold one, but it's about to be low on battery, so guess who's going to get that love in the second half, guys? Rosebud. New PlayStation controllers, whatever your color is, except for that green camo. Promo code Bougie. Look how beautiful that is. Come on.
Oh, there's the green camo. Oof. Yikes.
Oh man. We love some 41. Okay. Go sit in your corner, Billy.
Okay. All right. Next.
Oh, it's me. Should I continue with the video game theme? I don't know. I could do a couple, I guess.
Whatever you want.
Shout out to calling things you hold on to for too long. That includes both of my Xbox controllers that have lost their left bumper, and I have to keep them with my finger.
Yeah. Hold on, which the Xbox One or like 360 controllers?
The Xbox One.
Oh, okay.
The original Xbox One
controllers.
From
2013.
Yeah. The left bumper is off, and I have to keep it on with my finger. Playing games like Rocket League is fine. I just won't check the scores because that's all the left bumper is hooked up to. Playing games like Sea of Thieves, where you need the left bumper to check your inventory wheel, is not fun. But anyway, I guess my non-sponsor, speaking of video games, will be Sea of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
It has given me serotonin over the past week. Just playing it, being out on the nice ocean water. I will get a hopefully I want to see someone play it on PC because I've heard the graphics of the water and everything are amazing on it.
Yeah.
But I will get a 4K television at least to get some of those nice ocean graphics. But Sea of Thieves is my serotonin and the bane of my existence because trying to get level 50 in the 3 emissaries that you need to become what is called a pirate legend is a grind. And it's definitely a grinding game. But as long as you don't see another ship, it's a nice, fun game. That's all I have for that one, really. My non-sponsor is it's all like all the stuff you unlock is nice and just skins and stuff, and it's a really fun game to look at and a fun game to just sail like a pirate, and it's pretty awesome. So I guess code word R with 15 R's. Shout out to my other non-sponsor, and I know the Miami locales know all about this one, but Cuban coffee as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just a constant non-sponsor of my life. It's not just pertinent to this week or this show or anything. That's just what gets me alive, what keeps me alive.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Very good. All right, guys, we're moving on to the second half of the show. Andrew, are you ready to gush?
Let's do it.
Go ahead. Go gush.
Well, the past few weeks have been eventful, to say the least, for UCF. So, just some background. The Tennessee Volunteers poached our athletic director, Danny White, to be their athletic director to guide them through probably a really crappy time coming up because they've got investigations up the wazoo. And part of that, or stemming from that, was they fired their head coach, Jeremy Pruitt. So, who did Danny White take with him to Tennessee to be the new head football coach? Josh Heupel, who was our head football coach. So, in the span of a week, just before National Signing Day, no less, we go from relative stability, including arguably the best athletic director in UCF's history, to neither a athletic director nor a football coach. So what does UCF do? They go out and hire Gus Malzahn. Well, let me rewind. First, they hire Terry Mohajir as athletic director, comes from Arkansas State, who had been their AD since 2012 and oversaw a lot of facilities upgrades, increase in donations, and a very successful athletics department. I mean, their football team beat UCF in 2016 in the Cure Bowl. So that was great. And then Mohajir, there were many names thrown out there for who the next football coach would be. Some believed it would be, I forget some of the names. Maybe, Brendan, you can throw one out. I think it was, Jeff Lebby, duh. Jeff Lebby, who's the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, was the offensive coordinator for UCF during 2018-2019 under Heupel. He was kind of the front runner, and there was a huge movement by the players to bring in Lebby. Ultimately, that did not happen, which rubbed some of the players the wrong way, it appears. But ultimately, UCF hired Gus Malzahn, former head coach of Auburn, took Auburn to the national championship in 2013.
Go Noles.
was the coordinator for Auburn in 2010 when they did win the national championship, and coordinated for 2010 Heisman winner Cam Newton. So he's got an impressive resume. And it turns out that he has a history with Terry Mohajir. Malzahn was a State's head coach in 2012 when Mohajir started, and was poached by Auburn after that season, and led a subpar Auburn team to almost winning the national championship. I think they were 17 seconds away from the win, but Winston and et al. Pulled a rabbit out of their ass and won the game with in the dying seconds. So a lot of people were UCF fans were concerned that Malzahn is going to be old school. He's not going to be able to fit in with the fast-paced offense that we are so accustomed to seeing the past few years. But it turns out that was very overblown. Turns out, and I didn't realize this, Malzahn was the inventor of the hurry up no offense, or hurry up no huddle offense back when he was a high school coach in the latter part of the 1990s. So he is the father, if you will, of the system that we've been using to great effect since 2016. But then, more importantly, he has been on a rampage, getting coaches. I think he filled out his whole coaching staff in a week. No, 9 days. And he brought in people from Auburn, from other Power 5 schools, people that are, top of their game and really know their stuff. But then also, he has been on a recruiting warpath. I think he got hired, been like 2-3 weeks as head coach at this point. He's already made 100 offers. And these are 4-star, 5-star guys. He is really making an emphasis on recruiting Florida, which thank God, because Florida is, if not the best state when it comes to high school football, it is certainly in the top 3, along with Texas and California. And I think most people would argue that it is the top in the country. You've got the IMG Academy up in Bradenton, which is a high school in name only, basically. I'm sure you can attest to that, Brendan.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sorry about that. I
That's
was
right.
muted and didn't realize.
Yeah. So IMG Academy.
I mean, you have all of South Florida is huge. I mean, if anybody has not seen any of the documentaries or books on a little town called Muck City down in Florida, I mean, that's been a staple of recruiting for everybody.
Pahokee and Belglade, baby. Palm Beach
Mm-hmm.
County.
And that's a big reason why the University of Miami was so successful in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, because they owned South Florida when it came to recruiting. If you're in Florida, you're golden. You don't need to leave the state to get the best players. It's not like you're from Nebraska, where you have to poach people from other states.
Yeah, correct. And if I can cut in, there were rumors. Again, these are unconfirmed, but I have seen it on a couple of reporters around the Florida area have said it too. But there are rumors that high school coaches were literally begging Josh Heupel to come look at players in Florida, and he just didn't. He never showed up at high schools. He never showed up at anything down here in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen that Malzahn has hired a couple of high school coaches to be recruiting coordinators, analysts. It's huge. And more than that, though, aside from just recruiting, he's pulled in now 3 former Auburn players who are former 4-star players. These are great players. Like they just brought in defensive end from Auburn from last season, who was second team SEC. A lot of great accolades. They brought in a wide.
He had an all-time name too.
Yeah,
it's
what was it again?
It's Big Cat Bryant, I believe, is his real name.
I honestly thought it was a nickname, but I looked him up on 24/7, and that is his name.
Big Cat Bryant, all-time name.
So Malzahn has brought in 3 players, and it looks, and there are a lot of one of whom, get this, one of whom was going to go to Tennessee, but then was now flipped to UCF. So someone that we are in fantastic shape, much better shape than really anyone could have guessed when you lose. Like I said, I don't think I'm going too far in saying that Danny White was the best athletic director in UCF history. Would you? I don't think that's too much of a hot take. Would you say, Brendan?
No, I mean what he did was, I mean, legendary. It's still, in my 100% attempt to be objective, it was still, in my opinion, the best marketing project. UCF for him was the best marketing project in college football history. What he did for the program.
Like, for instance, he started the whole Orlando's hometown team slogan.
Correct, but it does have, that has to have an asterisk behind it, because he did attempt that while at the University of Buffalo, and it failed spectacularly. But it turns out Buffalo likes being Buffalo, not New York's hometown team, which, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people don't understand that New York is much bigger than just a tiny little city/island on the East Coast. So he definitely had to reconsider his Buffalo as New York's football team, or whatever he tried to call them up there. But it worked for Florida, because Florida's so big and so populated with football that he made a brand out of UCF, created it from nothing, and now it's mentioned as many times as Power 5 schools in outlets. I mean, if you just Google Big Cat Bryant, you know, what Gus Malzahn just offered, now ESPN has the article, and now every single big outlet has the article, and that is because of what Danny White did while he was here.
And love it or hate it, which I love it, Brendan loves it, most of UCF fans love it. Love it or hate it, claiming the national championship was humongous for the brand. I remember, I was a student when UCF won the Fiesta Bowl in 2013 over Baylor. And I distinctly recall that the number of applications to the school skyrocketed. And I know that there's a lot of contention between the academic side of universities and the athletic side. Oh, we put too much funding into athletics, things like that, yada, yada, yada. And they've got a point. But it cannot be said that a good athletics program has absolutely no tie to the success of the university. Because UCF has gotten so many more FTIC applications, first time in college, because of that, they're able to be a bit more selective. So they're getting higher average GPA. They're such and such and such. That was even more so when UCF won the Peach Bowl, and Danny White, in his infinite wisdom, immediately afterward, before the Callaway Matrix came out and said that they ranked us number one, which I'll be honest, if they didn't, then I wouldn't be as on board with it. But he said, national champions, undefeated. 3 words that are going to go down in UCF history as probably 3 of the most significant. There was Brendan knows the AP style book, but for,
too much.
Yeah. But for you.
Oh,
Did we drop?
I think we lost him. Andrew, we lost you.
Is he gone?
But I know where he was going with that
Okay.
thought, if you want me to finish it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Guys, the AP style book is
sorry.
basically basically the Bible when it comes to
Okay.
to how to write articles. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Now we can.
your connection, I guess, got delayed.
Guys?
Yeah, he's on a time delay now. Andrew has traveled through time. He's gone through a warp portal of some sort, and he's about, like 15 seconds behind us now? So we are in the future to him.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess cool. You can hear me now. So anyway, AP Style Book is basically the Bible for journalists. It tells you everything from how to spell certain things, how to format. You cannot be a journalist without the AP Style Book. A serious journalist without the AP Style Book. So UCF, you'll see where I'm going in a second, but most schools are referred to as, like, instead of SMU, it's Southern Methodist, or instead of CCU for Coastal Carolina University, they write Coastal Carolina. UCF, much to our chagrin, is always referred to as Central Florida, which we've had a discussion about that several times, gentlemen. But there was an article done in I think the USA. No, it was the Washington Post, where the person or the author argued that it was no longer needed to call us Central Florida. The exception is with some schools like LSU, where no one's going to get it confused. His argument was there was no confusion anymore. People will know what UCF is. And I've been seeing UCF a lot more. ESPN no longer calls us, writes out on their scorebug Central Florida or C Florida. It's always UCF. So all of this is just a long-winded way of me saying, when we lost Danny White, we thought we were done for. That we were going to be screwed. We were going to lose all gains that we made. But in comes Terry Mohajir, and he makes this huge signing. And he's not letting off the gas either. UCF just posted billboards in Jacksonville and in Marietta, Georgia, saying that the future of college football is in Orlando. We're feeling good about the future. But by the way, Brendan, UCF beat Tulsa in basketball.
They did. I've been monitoring the score app on here.
Which, for those not in the know, Tulsa has our number for some reason, whether in any sports, really. I don't know what it is, but they are our kryptonite.
It's you. it's your connection to the city, Andrew.
I guess. I mean, Brendan, I was born in Tulsa, and I lived there for 9 years.
They want their son back, so they take it out in UCF.
I guess, and my eldest sister got her bachelor's from Tulsa, so I guess we're to blame. I don't know, but regardless, the fact that we beat Tulsa is great news for us. But anyway, Brendan, I know I've been taking up the bulk of the conversation, but is there anything you'd like to add? Hello?
Is he
Can
gone?
you hear me?
Is he
All
through
right,
time?
no,
Okay.
My computer timed out, and I think it automatically muted me. I think that was
Sports Goose, everybody.
But anyway, I don't think UCF gets Gus Malzahn without Danny White being there beforehand.
Absolutely.
That's just the way. That's just the impact that Danny White's marketing had, and the fact that you have and UCF fans, I think this time are being much, much, much more realistic at the fact that we obviously know Gus Malzahn is not going to be our coach forever. Like, there is no way Gus Malzahn is sticking around as soon as another high-profile Power 5 job opens up. Now, I'm not saying Gus Malzahn is going to go to, like, Vanderbilt or Syracuse or anything like that, but as soon as a high-profile Power 5 team opens up, he's gone.
Well, see, that's something that I'm kind of struggling with. I mean, I get that he would be a hot commodity, despite the fact of him getting fired from Auburn for a quote-unquote subpar year. But here's the thing that I want to get your take on. Malzahn is only a couple of years younger than George O'Leary was when we hired him. And some of the language that he was using in his introductory press conference, like the 8 weeks that I had off, I didn't think I was going to be coaching this year. I was going to take a year off to be an analyst. I got to spend time with my grandkids. This is the strongest Gus Malzahn you've ever had. Some of that, he also said that he had time to reflect on his career. So he's using a lot of this sort of finality language, if that makes sense.
I understand that sentiment a little bit.
I mean, I would not be surprised in the least if someone picks him up. He's too good of a coach to be with any P5 school, top tier P5 school would be lucky to have him. But
yeah. And this is, if I could cut in, this is not my thought. I want to attribute this to UCF's director of broadcasting, Mark Daniels, who talked about this on his show in the morning, his radio show. But during this, I guess, reflective period he definitely thought about the fact that the pressure at schools such as Auburn, and schools, especially when the other team in your state is Nick Saban in Alabama, and the fact that you have to perform constantly, and you don't want to bend to the will of the boosters who talk so much and provide so much for universities, especially in the South and the SEC, that a lot of people don't understand that sometimes the boosters are the ones making the decision, not even the athletic directors. And the fact that UCF is most likely not going to do that to him on any level compared to Auburn or compared to any other high profile SEC or Big 12 or ACC job in the future, he could stick around for the fact that he will have most of the control on this team.
He even said that one of his favorite things to do as a coach is to be the full signal caller, or not signal caller, but to call the plays, to really run the offense. He doesn't like to step back, but he was basically forced to in Auburn. So he made it extremely clear that he's taking that power back. So
correct. And the boosters at Auburn told him if he wanted to be the coach, he couldn't call plays.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, it would be great if he ended up being our, Bobby Bowden or our at FSU or our Gary Anderson at TCU, something like that. I mean, imagine having that sort of a presence for 10, 15 years.
Correct.
Okay. Well, Is that it for the Gush Fest?
I guess. I mean,
I'll gush at the fact that UCF baseball beat the number 1 team in the
Yes!
country.
Yes. Andrew was tweeting about that.
However, yeah.
Oh, one other thing I'll mention about
Promo code Lovelady, because apparently when Lovelady steps away from the team, it's disastrous.
Yeah, it's our current head coach, Greg Lovelady, who won the national championship in 2000 or 2001 with he was diagnosed with COVID to start the season, so he had to step away, and we had a really shitty start to the season.
1-3, and we let up like 45 runs in the first. It was 3 games or 4 games.
It was insanity. We lost to Stetson once,
and FAU twice.
Which was a freaking. It was football games. Forget baseball; they were football games, basically, with the kind of scores we're talking. He comes back, and we take 2 of 3 from Ole Miss, and we almost won the third, but we choked it in the last inning.
Well, we almost won the second game. We did win the third. It was a doubleheader, so it's a little weird, but yeah.
So, and then one last thing about Danny White, kind of touching on that a bit, is White made it clear when he came in that he wanted UCF to be a top 25 athletic department, not just football, not just basketball. He wanted the whole athletic department to be top tier, and he really accomplished that. I mean, for example, the men's and women's tennis teams have not really upset anymore. It's to be expected. They've upset these top tier, top ranked teams. Women's basketball is one of the top in the country. Unfortunately, they lost tonight to the Bulls, but they have the fewest points allowed in all of college basketball. Cheerleading took the national championship last year. We're legitimately an all-around strong athletic department, which can really be attributed to Danny White. So the future is bright.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All righty.
Now my gushing is done. If you want to,
it's 9:00, Andrew. Are you gonna stick around, or you really have to go?
Let me step aside for a second, and I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Well, because we can. I wanted to do Gottlieb's Goons just so we can touch on that before if you have to go, just so we can get your opinion on these 2 people that I'm gonna highlight. So
yeah,
let's.
I can take a few minutes. That's fine.
Okay, Gottlieb's Goons, where we call people out in the sports world. I want to start with Dick Pick Mick, everybody. Mickey Callaway. We talked about you a couple weeks back or so, a few episodes ago. It was just kind of like a little preview that first happened and stuff. Okay, all right, but now things have come out about you, and it's not really alliteration because it's not all the same letter, but it is rhyming. And Charles loves him some rhymes.
I love me some rhymes.
Yeah,
I like to spit bars and say rhymes. I'm basically a 5-year-old rapper.
And Dick Pick Mick is a good one, I'll tell you that much. Then, if there's one thing the New York Mets were good at, it was coming up with that name under the Mickey Callaway's regime there. Oh boy, yeah. Well, that came out. He's been accused of certain things. This
Gottlieb Goons can be extended to a whole bevy of people.
Oh yeah.
Involved.
Oh yeah. No, this is straight up like, oh my goodness gracious, dude. What?
I mean, obviously he deserves all of it. but now you can do the Cleveland Indians organization because they were aware of it and didn't do shit about it. And they were, and now the Mets.
Yep.
It's a mess.
Yeah, the Angels have suspended him, and they will likely. I think they're gonna. I mean, come on. What is he? He's what is he? The hitting coach or pitching coach or something like that? Yeah, he's a pitching coach. Okay, yeah, he's their pitching coach. Oh, because he was a pitcher. So that's expendable, right?
For sure.
And the Angels have always sucked at pitching. It's not like they're gonna get any better. You guys are gonna waste Mike Trout's career anyways.
What's he gonna do? Teach Julio Teheran how to get the right angle on a photo on Snapchat? Come on, get rid of it.
Yeah, it's all about the angle. All right. Gosh, darn it! If only we had that Manscaped sponsorship, it would have been perfect for this episode. Mickey Callaway's dick pic, sponsored by Manscaped.
Oh my god.
Can we, like, when you put it on the podcast name, I know we're on.
I'm sorry, Andrew.
You have to go. You have to basically kind of call it the. It's all about the angles. Goofs 95.
I could for the podcast, I could do that. Oh boy! All right, so yeah, all right. Mickey Callaway, you're one, and the other one. Gosh, what was this woman's name? The frickin' one from the NFL Network.
Jane Slater.
That's the one. Her. Jane Slater. So she got
first female goon?
No, we've had female goons before.
All right.
We've had female goons before, but she allowed herself to be roasted on Twitter. Was it yesterday? For it seemed innocent enough, right? At first, it's like, hey, there's a unpaid internship at the NFL Network. All right, who's up for it? Who's up for the unpaid internship? And I already heard a sigh from Brendan. And we've all, I think we've all been there. I mean, we were kind of
been there.
Yeah, we've all been there.
The state of Florida knows what my butt feels like.
Yeah. So we've all been there, and she's like, I thought it was innocent enough, just trying to get somebody an opportunity to be in the NFL Network, but Twitter was not having it. It's like, oh, come on, man. NFL Network, NFL makes billions of dollars per year. They can pay a young kid in their early 20s to work for them. And she was like, oh, I had to, and then it was like, oh, I had to hustle when I was in college, working 2 jobs and doing the unpaid internship, and then people started looking for some receipts, and they found out her granddaddy is like the chili king of Texas. I don't know. I think that's an official title in the state government of Texas. I have no idea. By the way, he was like the CEO of like a big, gigantic chili company that I guess officially was proclaimed the chili of the state of Texas in some sort of thing or contest. I have no idea. But regardless, she
aren't all chili? Hormel, Save-A-Lot. It's chili, right? I don't know.
Skyline.
Actually, that's one of my future conquests that I want to do this year is make my own chili. I think that's I think a midlife crisis requires everybody to try and make their own chili. So I'm getting there. I'm about to get there.
Skyline chili. You won't regret it.
Okay.
Skyline chili.
Okay. Well then, so her granddaddy was helping her along while she was quote unquote working 2 jobs and stuff like that. And so Twitter let her have it. People from all walks of life saying, yeah, to check her privilege. She didn't check her privilege before she tweeted this stuff out, and she got roasted.
It reminded me a lot of, yes, the one, the only, Darren Ravel.
Oh.
When back in 2017, I think it was 2017, it got a lot of storm. But he suggested that the paper in Chicago should just have Northwestern students write for free all their basketball recaps instead of using the AP, which is what the Chicago Times should use. But Darren Ravel was like, just have Northwestern students do it for free so you don't have to pay them.
Oh, boy.
So you can add that to the list of things Darren Ravel has done to make him a fantastic human being.
I'm surprised we haven't had him on Gottlieb's Goons. Okay, well, yeah.
We did have him on Gottlieb Goons once. Way.
Oh, okay, I guess so. I mean, we've Bob Nightingale. He's like the baseball Darren Ravel, so not sure. But yeah, this is. Well, we actually we're getting paid for this episode, so I can't. This is not an unpaid internship right now, but we've all been there. But I personally can't talk about it as far as the sports media or journalism. I don't know if you guys can, especially you, Brendan. But it's a struggle, right?
Waiving an unpaid internship during this time is incredibly insulting right now, and there's no beating around the bush on that. It's incredibly insulting to say, hey, by the way, a lot of your full-time staff who have worked for teams have been laid off, and a lot of layoffs have occurred in journalism over this past year because simply, it's not through any of their fault of their own, but to the point where these teams don't know what their budget is because their budget is based on fans, it's based on tickets, it's based on concessions and selling, and then it's gone. And so everybody's like, well, crap, I don't know what to do. I guess we have to start laying off staff writers and laying off this and laying off that. So waving an unpaid internship into somebody's face right now in the journalism industry is a complete slap in the face. That's my point. That's all I got.
Yeah, people went deep in Twitter. I doom scrolled. People went deep as far as like. I think that is insulting because of the times. It was also insulting because of the person that was tweeting this out and tweeting like she went through struggles. And then maybe, I guess everything's relative though. That's the thing. Everything's relative. And her personal struggles may not be the same as everyone else's. When you got Granddaddy Chili Dog funding everything. So it's not like she was quote unquote truly struggling. Whereas a bunch of other people were saying, well, I had to work a job or two jobs just to make ends meet. And it wasn't a fun thing because sometimes people were like, yeah, I've had some rich friends and like they were like, oh, it'd be fun to have a job. And it's like, no, it's not fun for me. I have to have this job or else I don't eat or have shelter or have clothes. And especially, or have an education, a higher education. And also, if the unpaid internship is out there being waved about, but you can't take it because you actually have to work and you can't afford to not work, and thus you miss out on an opportunity, a grand opportunity. And yeah, maybe you are qualified to work for the NFL Network. Maybe you are qualified, maybe to get out there, but it's somebody who has the opportunity to get there. So sometimes it's not. Sometimes they might have parents who are maybe middle class and are trying to help them out. But still, there are struggles there. But sometimes you get some people who can be funded the entire way, and it's easy, and they get the job, and you miss out on an opportunity, and the NFL misses out on another opportunity. And yes, diversifying all that stuff, and the NFL has had issues with that, and Rooney rules there and things like that. But now there are lots of gigantic socioeconomic issues, and within this tweet right here, BU already commented that unpaid internship should be illegal. And yeah, there it's not just in the sports industry either. It's for a lot of other things. A lot of, I mean, gosh, man, even in our fields, we unpaid internships, and yes, you try and get the experience. And I get that, and people who are for it are like, yeah, you're getting the experience. You get to put that on the resume. You know, sometimes. Yeah. Well,
so imagine. So here's the
I
thing
don't.
people need to realize about
Uh-huh.
unpaid internships. You're not really thrown into thick of things, and you're not giving as much that could be actually recommendable for most times on a resume. It's different for each field, but you're not given as much opportunity to even get there. So it's a double-edged sword coming into it. So an unpaid internship might seem nice, but if you're only just reviewing documents, proofreading, and I'm trying to make it more translated to her field than our field, but it's kind of tough because
that's
we,
familiar.
even as unpaid, even us as unpaid interns, we couldn't appear and speak in court, right? Because if we didn't have our CLEs ready. So as I'm going there interviewing against these people who are seasoned and they're saying, hey, have you appeared in court? No, because I just now got barred, and you're going to hold that against me. So sometimes the unpaid internships don't even get you to the long road of what you want. So it's basically slavery.
The entry level, looking for entry level positions need 5 years of experience already. It's like, oh my god.
To be honest, you're Harvey Weinsteining anybody. You're plain and simple, because we don't want we just want to make it, man. And you're telling us that we have to give ourselves up for maybe a letter of recommendation, but depending where you work and how many people are out there, you might not get the actual growth and development for your business, man.
Can I interject really quick?
Go ahead.
I need to run, but before I do, I have a couple of things I want to say.
Yes.
Okay. First, the state of Minnesota Department of Transportation held a contest to name a new class of snowplows.
Yeah, that's right.
Internet contest. Yes.
The winners are, in alphabetical order, Darth Blader, Duck Orange Truck.
Okay.
Perfect. I wrote that one.
F. Salt Fitzgerald.
Aha.
Yes.
Oh, just gonna plow right past you. It's a Midwesterner joke. Because when you need to get past somebody, or if you bump into someone accidentally, it's just like a reaction. They'll say, "Oh."
Yeah.
Next, we've got Plow Bunyan.
Okay.
Very good.
Naturally, we had to have Plowy McPlowface.
That's what I was looking for.
Snowy Juan Kenobi.
Perfect.
And last but not least, the truck formerly known as Plow.
Nobody went for... oh, no, they probably already have a Mr. Plow in their line of their fleets of snow plows.
Possibly. And then second, before I head off, Brendan, thank you again for coming on. It's always a pleasure having you, especially because you basically are the third sports goof when it comes to NBA, because I'm completely useless. So first, second, I thank you guys for holding down the fort the past couple of weeks while I have not existed in anything other than studying. It is wonderful to be back. And I'm looking forward to not having to do this anytime soon, where I have to miss shows. And I am thankful to you guys and thankful to whoever's watching. I agree with BU. Unpaid internship should be illegal. Peace out, gentlemen. I will talk to you later.
All right, Andrew. Okay.
Thank you, Andrew.
Ciao. Okay. All right. So those are our Gartlieb's goons for that. So we're okay, guys. We're at the 2-hour mark. I don't think we're gonna get all this NBA stuff down. No. Things are. We have to.
Do you want to bullet point it?
Okay.
On the East.
Okay. Let's just bullet point it then. Raptors. They need a break. It's not going well in Tampa, or as well as they thought it would. They probably should have. They should have played in Buffalo. Maybe less distractions, less COVID. I have no idea. Not sure. Less pressure to be a championship caliber team like their hockey team and the NFL team in town. Yeah. So that's, I mean, the Leafs are doing good. That's weird. Well, that's not weird. They're doing good in the regular season. Then they'll find a way to fall apart in the playoffs. So that's there's my hockey comment for the week. So, yeah. Then the Miami Heat. Well, actually, no. The Boston Celtics. They're number 6 seed. They're struggling, man. They are.
All I'll say to the Boston Celtics is when your president of operations goes on a local radio show and says our roster is not very good.
Yeah.
You're not gonna win.
he said this roster is not constructed to compete.
He said our roster is not very good on a local Boston radio station. And when you have a roster that's full of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker, and you say our roster is not very good, something's wrong. And you're not gonna win. Yep. I'm sorry.
I've heard that they are lazy. I saw a video. I don't know if you've seen Brendan. I don't know if you see somebody on YouTube called Andy Hoops, but he does some pretty good videos. He's a Knicks fan. I don't get what's with Knicks and Mets fans being pretty darn good on YouTube and breaking down like their individual sports. Maybe because of all the misery. That
it's
could be
misery.
it.
That's why Browns fans are good. That's why Knicks fans are good. They are just nice.
Any other team is just better.
To the point where everybody in the league, which is odd for New York teams, but everybody who follows the league are like, wow, New York. That's when you know it's bad, is when you're rooting for a New York team to do well.
Yeah. So, yeah, Boston, they've had issues. And Tatum's had some issues with post-COVID symptoms or effects. And he said he's getting tired more than normal. So he's still struggling with that. But okay, next, the Miami Heat. Well, Charles and I talk about them pretty much every episode of these past 3 weeks for the most part, except for the hockey one.
Give me my ginger baby.
Yeah,
that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, and Jimmy, we need Jimmy to be healthy. All right,
and give me
my man crush.
Tua.
Yeah,
like I think he's earned an opportunity to just see how
he's had some pretty good games. He's relentless on the boards.
I'm not saying 25 minutes. I'm not saying 30 minutes. What I'm saying is start the game out maybe with him in there and then pop in Olynyk. You see that happen with bigs, and Olynyk's not bad, but it is noticeable when we lose, it's because he's like 4 of 11. And it's like, meh. And Precious is just going to develop because I don't think we're re-signing Kelly unless he's willing to take that pay cut because I believe his contract expires this year. So let me see what I got. Let me see my Precious. I think he basically will max out being the equivalent of a more, I guess, silky smooth Bam shooter on the bench. I don't think he goes ahead of that, but that's sometimes what happens when you draft so high or so low, I guess, in the draft the way that we do. I just want to see because the East feels, and I think you both will agree with me, the East feels like anybody's game because Brooklyn doesn't really scare me, possibly because of their health. And you know how I feel about the 76ers. And Brendan, to bring back frauds.
Yeah, we'll get there.
That's how I feel about it. I've been saying it for years, man.
Okay. Next.
We'll go with that.
The New York Knicks. They are actually above 500, everybody. They did it.
And the surprise, wonderful team in the East.
The fans are already planning the parade. It seems already. Tibbs is true to his word and to his reputation on being a really good defensive coach.
Tibbs gonna Tibbs.
Yeah. So
RJ Barrett is not playing up to a 4th pick in the draft or whatever his ranking was. That's why I got him back.
Yeah. So they're 18-17. They're
I don't know what he got out of Elfrid Payton, but Tibbs is getting everything out of Elfrid Payton.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Elfrid Payton doesn't want to be the guy who was the turnaround, bust in the NBA. So his last good chance.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And shout out Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah.
That's what I got for him.
Yeah. And
Julius Randle.
Yeah. And, whoa, I almost died there. And I saw a video also about Kevin Knox that was basically, it was titled Kevin Knox Sucks. And I'm just like, wow, all right, this is great clickbait. I'm going to click on this, and it's like, yeah, he's slightly improved this year, but he's definitely probably not coming back once he's left to his own devices. Anyways, okay, next, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 21-13. Are they just kind of coasting for now and just not really?
I think you're gonna see the same thing you see from them every year: is
Ooh.
hype, and then they get to the playoffs
Ooh.
and they don't do anything.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen again.
Brooklyn, the new look Brooklyn Nets.
Humble pie time.
Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah. Because when I forgot our other guest name. We have too many guests on when Andrew was gone. I want to say his name was John too, but there was too many Johns as well. But Brooklyn, we said Harden was not going to be the problem, and we said Harden and KD was not going to be a problem. I felt it was going to be Harden and Kyrie, and now you're seeing more Harden and Kyrie together, and it's just gelling. Steve Nash, giving props to that. Do I think they're going to be a NBA Finals team? That's a Western team, if anything's ever been written on it. But you can easily see that team at the moment possibly get to the NBA Finals, and they don't really look worse for wear for giving up Jared Allen and Karis LeVert in that trade either. It's looking good. I mean, maybe there's that downfall where if Kyrie gets hurt, can Harden sustain it by himself? And we know he can't necessarily do it as our production in Houston, or as his production in Houston showed. But humble pie, it's healthy for you, gives you your vitamins. Good for me, I guess, for being an adult.
Okay.
And not to mention they have those pieces that other teams don't. I mean, if you want to have your three shooters, you also have DeAndre Jordan, who can rebound for you, and that's all he wants to do is rebound. He's going to try to put up 7 points per game, but he knows they know their roles on the team. What sharpshooter and NBA accountant Joe Harris is going to do. Yep. Shoot threes and then do the executive's taxes later. Like, what he's going to do. God, Joe Harris just looks like an accountant that got lucky. That's all I got.
Okay. And finally, the 76ers.
Frauds.
There it is. That's what I was listening.
You call them frauds. I don't call them frauds.
I went in depth on it last show when we had to really make time, and I'll just kind of really bullet point it. It's you hired the perfect coach for the team that you want to be, which is just a very good, but can you be great in the playoffs? And I look to Doc Rivers' credibility. I look to my aunt, to Ben Simmons. I like Joel. I think everybody likes Joel, but this, you gotta show me, man. You gotta prove it to me, because every year was supposed to be the year the last couple of years, right? And last year was not a good year for them, but I'm just gonna say ride that wave, because congratulations, you're gonna do exactly what the very low floor it feels like you have created, which is basically getting to the playoffs, because that's what the fan base would want, right? When your ownership has basically, and your administrators have basically sold you out to basically sucking for so many years. They don't deserve that, but that's what you thought. But now what happens? Granted, I will say this year's team is vastly different, because they did what made them successful 2 years ago, which put shooters around with the other Curry brother, not Steph, which I bet he hates being referred to, but
Seth.
Until
Isn't it Seth Curry?
Seth.
Yeah.
Seth. Yeah. It's just
Luigi.
Too many S's, too many Currys. Yeah, pretty much. Right now he's like the Waluigi, but he's finding some consistency. But until you show me that you can actually get to the finals. Even getting to the Eastern Conference Finals means nothing to me. And good luck if you get to the Eastern Conference Finals, because what do you want to be? The runner-up? Second best? What do you say?
They need a
my good friend?
well, we talked about it last week. Yeah, the one thing when I was awake was they need a championship to justify the process. They really do. They need one.
They do. They need one, and what they'll need this year is someone to come off the bench and be a star. That's one. I mean, Shake Milton is trying. I'll give him that. But they need someone else, and they need someone better. They need someone better than Furkan Korkmaz to come off the bench.
Could you see a reunion of Blake Griffin and Doc Rivers?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. They're gonna have to make some salary.
I mean, they need someone else other than Dwight Howard as well. I mean,
I saw Whiteside somewhere.
He's in Sacramento.
When Joel's off the court and your next,
I saw him coming off the bench when I saw. Oh yeah, we forgot to do what games did we watch last week. I saw the freaking Kings game against the Hornets and how they choked that game away. I'm like, and now that I looked at the stats of the Kings, I was completely lost on them. And I'm like, oh, this all makes sense. This all makes sense for the Sacramento Kings. And yeah, Hassan's out there now. By the way,
and I will say Matisse Thybulle's doing well off the bench. I will say that.
Okay, all right. So that's okay. Eastern Conference. This took longer than I thought, but whatever. We'll do the Western Conference next week. That's fine. All right. Well, oh gosh darn, I had this on Gottlieb's Goons the entire time. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We sped through the last portion of it. Brendan, you get the option. Do you want to stick around for the last? I don't know. Well, Charles, you would 15, 20 minutes, I guess.
It might be 15.
Okay.
And I think I could shade it to 15, but it's a big one. It's a big one, boys.
Is it your wrestling?
Yes.
It is, and not just one promotion has done some chicanery. All the promotions. We had the gangbang of title changes.
Some stuff happened. I mean, Soulja Boy is in.
We're fighting Soulja Boy now.
Yeah.
There's a pay-per-view coming up. Titles are getting unified.
Now you're going to have to pay attention to Parker Boudreaux.
Yeah.
And
UCF is in on this.
That too.
Yeah.
Andrew even got involved in it. I was like, hey, this is great. I literally feel as if, this Chicken Little, the sky is falling, and it is up to me to save the world and inform those people who just want to know why men in tights were awfully sweaty me more than the erotic sense of it. I tried.
Big Show couldn't make it on Netflix. Dear Lord. A lot of stuff.
That too. Oh my!
Let's go.
I could.
Let's go.
Unfortunately, before we begin, I have not eaten dinner.
Okay. So, all right then.
I will listen to it post.
What? Yeah. We'll. I'll send the flurry of 10,000 tweets as our guests want to know. Andrew should warn people about that, by the way, every time he gets a guest. Listen, Francisco's going to tag you on 40,000 tweets over the next week. So,
speaking of tweets, follow our good buddies all the time that you can. FJOJR, Charles the True, Dan Frijole, Sports Goofs, and Brendan, put yourself out there if you want to.
At B Rourke Sports.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Well, Brendan, if you got to go... You gotta get some. What are you getting? Taco Bell. What are you getting, man?
No, I'm gonna find something in the bottom of the fridge that should have been eaten a week ago. But pretty much, yeah. That's what you get. Thanks, journalists.
Okay.
For those unpaid internships.
Oh boy. All right, man. Thank you for joining us.
Oh no, thank you. I appreciate it.
Ciao.
Okay. All right, are we segueing?
Yeah, your graphics up.
All right, welcome everybody to your weekly Truplex The Cage with Charles. Full disclaimer, wrestling is not fake. It is scripted. It is a stage fight. It is ballet. It is poetry in motion. It's sometimes a love story. It's sometimes the underdog story. Sometimes about chasing glory, chasing your dreams. And boy, there's been a lot of chasing. But what do we know about chasing? Something's got to happen. Either you trip and you fall and you give up, just like Charles when he goes for that extra mile and sprains an MCL. all too conveniently, or you catch up with what you want. And now you have it in your hands. Sometimes it's about people just beating the pure piss out of each other, and sometimes about making your own name on the Mount Rushmore wrestling. Francisco, holy crap, so much has happened. And I'm going to go and just get
when I know what's going down, a lot of stuff has happened.
Yeah, and then for anybody who's wondering what the machinations of the sports group chat looks like, when I sent a flurry of Twitter stuff, of memes, and holy crap, this is happening, it's big. So we're gonna go with AEW first because ironically, that's like the smallest segment coming into it. They have a pay-per-view coming up, Revolution. I believe it is this weekend, the 7th. I need to kind of like verify that, but there's the thing we have to talk about too is in addition to their pay-per-view and the card that they're going to have, yeah, it's March 7th, all right. They have wrestling tomorrow, what they're dubbing as Crossroads. The big thing that you need to know about from tomorrow's Dynamite is Shaq is wrestling. So that's been like
Yes.
a little story that's kind of been developing. And long story short, TNT needs to make sure that this wrestling program gets more money. So now Shaq, who has been known to be a wrestling fan, he never got his match with the Big Show as it was supposed to be at Mania, and he's always kind of been there, and he is a larger than life personality. Is now teaming up with Jade Cargill, who she's been signed with AEW, almost called WCW. Sorry, Tony Khan. Sorry, Cody. Follow us on Twitter. And they're going against Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet. Originally, it was supposed to be Brandy Rhodes, but Brandy's pregnant, so now they have Red Velvet in between, and it's going to be a mixed tag match that's coming into it. I'll watch it just to see how bad it is because Shaq. Oh man, yeah, I mean that is not a wrestling body whatsoever, and he's not out of shape or out of weight or anything like that. The guy's like 7'1", man, and he's like what, close to 50 now, if not over. It's going to be a little slow. It's one of those things where people give flack to the WWE about bringing old timers or so. There's people getting flack for getting Bad Bunny, but Bad Bunny is a younger demographic. Bad
Shaq is 48 years old. Yeah,
48. I knew he was close to it. He still could probably bust our asses in basketball to this day. And they're giving WWE flack for getting outsiders for the sports entertainment aspect of it, and also they're using Bad Bunny for their wanting to get to the Latino demographics or the Latinx demographics, whatever it's dubbed these days. What do you think AEW is doing kind of getting Shaq? You're getting everybody who knows Shaq, who likes him as a personality, anybody who's invested in basketball on the same brand, the same viewerships that's openly accessible. And you're going to kind of want to get those casual people.
You talk about, okay, we talk about us being sellouts or whatever. Shaq has never met a sponsorship opportunity that he didn't like.
Shaq is an aspiration. He's a dream, and we love him coming into it. And it's funny because it makes me think about Pat McAfee when he wrestled at NXT, when he wrestled against Adam Cole at TakeOver, and he did the TakeOver War Games. So I will watch it. I don't know if I like it. I'll presumably hate it, but I'll tell you this: my critique of special guest wrestlers is it's low. It's not too bad. As long as I'm entertained, like there's wrestling and there's sports entertainment. As long as I'm sports entertained, I'm going to be happy. Going to AEW Revolution, we have the exploding barbed wire death matches. This is kind of what I hate about pay-per-views happening when our shows happen on Tuesdays, because I feel like the shows that do happen, because WWE has Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. AEW just has Wednesday. We're on a show on Tuesday. I always feel like I need to create a side snippet to kind of say, hey, this is what's fully developing leading into it. But they're doing an exploding barbed wire death match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. There probably will be blood. Hopefully it is better than their Winter is Coming not pay-per-view, but TV match that they had, because I was not a fan of it. Kenny is defending his title against Moxley. We know pure chicanery is going to happen. We know it's not necessarily going to lead anything, and it's just going to further the cross-promotional brands, and I'm probably going to hate it. Also, I can't pay $50 because I'm a hustler, aka I'm cheap, but I will make sure to watch the YouTube moments. I'm hoping that this kind of gives Kenny a reign that is a clean victory, because remember, he won the title off of Mox because Don Callis threw a little microphone and Kenny hit him. Street fight tag team match: Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Team Taz versus Sting and Darby Allin. That's right. Speaking of old timers and how people will get on WWE for saying, hey, they're bringing in Goldberg, you're bringing in 62-year-old Sting. And it's not even going to be a cinematic fight, but a street fight, you can kind of like not do suplexes and stuff like that. He took a power bomb, and I was scared. Let this be Sting's last match or second to last match. Let him ride off into the sunset, because remember what happened with him, and he wrestled in WWE. He took a buckle bomb from Seth. Something hurt his nerves really badly, and he just collapsed. And then he had to retire because he wasn't cleared. He does deserve the proper send off. In a street fight, it's kind of weird because I can't recall Sting ever really doing street fights. I didn't watch him in the TNA worlds, but you got to make do with what you have, right? It's like getting temporary crown on your teeth. She ain't a beauty, but she'll do until the real one comes in. Prediction wise, Sting and Allen win. You can't have Sting lose, right? You can't. You can't. But watch them do it, but you can't do it. Going further into it, Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho, MJF. The storyline, the Inner Circle is breaking apart. Young Bucks will retain, I'm guessing, but I think the Inner Circle, led by Chris Jericho, will fully dissolve. Plus, there might finally further the feud between Young Bucks and Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers, who are supposed to all be friends, part of the cross promotion branding. Because this is the problem: am I going to get a real pay per view to highlight the stars, or are we just going to get something that's just going to be for the cross promotional branding? I think we'll get both. AEW's Women's Championship match is going to happen. Hikaru Shida will go against whoever her number one contender is. They haven't finalized it yet. They'll probably finalize it tomorrow. It's going to be Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose. Fully expect Thunder Rosa to win. I don't know if she's been fully signed, but I will say this: Hikaru hasn't necessarily done much. She has, but she hasn't. Part of it is because the virus, and part of it is just because the lack of challengers. I wouldn't expect, if Thunder Rosa did win, I would expect her to win against Hikaru. If not, it's Nyla Rose. They have some history. Hikaru took the title off of Nyla Rose originally, but I'm guessing Thunder Rosa wins. AEW face a Revolution ladder match. Think of it as whoever wins the ladder match gets a shot at the TNT championship, not the main championship. I don't like it like that. Why can't they just win the championship? Why wouldn't you want a ladder match for the biggest title? Why does that have to get to be the number one contender for a mid-card title? And I understand Cody's whole presumption of there is no mid-card titles, the person who elevates it, but I'm like, man, it's kind of dumb. You could just put it as the main title, because that's what some of the gimmick matches should be for, my personal opinion. Maybe people are like, shut up, Grandpa, but Grandpa likes to think that he's right. I don't know. If I'm going to bust my butt. And the problem is, too, is the talent in there is main event level. Lance Archer's main event level. Pentagon is definitely main event level. I like Scorpio Sky, but he is actually more TNT focused, in my opinion. I do think that Scorpio Sky wins it. I know they're going to have 10 from the Dark Order enter in. There might be a surprise person. We'll see what happens there. They say Lance Archer, that's whatever. They have Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, best friends, who I think they're hilarious, versus Miro and Kip Sabian. Story hasn't been great. He'll probably be the best friends. Matt Hardy versus Hangman Page, continuing the love story of Hangman Page and Dark Order versus Big Money Matt. And it's a money stipulation, so whoever wins gets like their quarter profits of it. You watch BTE, you know the storyline and the size between Matt Hardy and the Dark Order trying to get Hangman in a, basically, I was gonna say twist of fate, but that's too funny, and also probably not the same thing. Tug of war, we'll say, of his love. And I believe that's the matches there. Oh, they're doing a battle royale for number one contendership tag teams. What I will say is this. I do like the fact that we have number one contendership matches now that on the pay-per-view, because that's something that WWE is kind of sorely missing. You get that in New Japan sometimes, but I think it's a good focal point to show the talent and allow them to get matches as contenders to win their contendership without having the impediments of TV time or the damn announcers plugging in some stupid little thing. This is sponsored by Burger King. You need to have something that's easier and go from there. New Japan, big stuff, dude. Big stuff have happened here. And I can't stress enough of it. Not as big as WWE yet, but this is still big stuff coming in. So, couple storylines. Hiromu Takahashi, I think I said it right for once. I like him. I call him Japanese Pep. He was the junior heavyweight champion. He's hurt. He vacates his title. Then what they did at the Road to Castle Attack was have a triple threat match, which is kind of rare lately. And they had him, not him, but they had El Desperado, El Fantasmo, and then, oh God, it was the other guy, Bushi, challenge for the junior heavyweight. What's a junior heavyweight title? Basically the cruiserweight title. What's the cruiserweight title? Anybody who's under a certain weight class. Junior heavyweight, heavyweight. Plain and simple, right? El Despi wins it. He's also the junior heavyweight tag titles. They have won those over El Fantasmo and Taichi. So or Taisukuge. I can never say. It's like watching Naruto. I don't know the names. I'll just call them fancy stuff, or My Hero Academia fancy stuff. So now basically, El Despy has 2 titles. He's a tag team champion for the juniors, and he's also the junior heavyweight championship. And then we get Kota Ibushi versus Tetsuya Naito. We know my love for Naito. We know my appreciation for Ibushi, and we know that Kota has been carrying both the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And the story between the two of them was that Naito isn't going to let Kota unify the titles. He's going to take the title and he's going to retire it. Good match. What happens? Kota wins. What do? They have now unified the championships. So there is no longer a IWGP Intercontinental title. There is no longer an IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Now it is the IWGP World Championship. Kind of big. Granted, some people who are bigger into New Japan than I am, essentially saying it doesn't matter. Intercontinental title hasn't mattered since Shinsuke Nakamura left to go to WWE, but I always felt that was kind of an important title. I think it's good to kind of put the Never title, the Never Openweight title, I guess is how they formally say it, as your next mid-card title. But I was just kind of surprised. I'm expecting a new belt design as well. I'm fine with it getting rid of the double belts. Probably the problem with New Japan, same problem with all wrestling organizations, that they had too many championships, and that can get confusing because in New Japan it was the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, and then you had the Never Openweight title, and then you had the U.S. Championship that they had as trying to get over a U.S. fame. That's why Moxley still has it. But then you had the Junior Heavyweight Championships, the Tag Team Championships, and the Junior Heavyweight Championships. I felt that Tag Team Championships, and I felt the simple solution was just get rid of the junior weight class. Kota was a cruiserweight for a while. He probably still is. It's just they won't rank him as that. And maybe they will in the future, but you got to make it concise. But big stuff happened. Other little things from New Japan. Kazuchika Okada wants in on it. They have the New Japan Cup that's coming in. Winner usually gets the title at the main title. And also at the anniversary show is going to be El Despy, who won all those titles. He's like Despy 2 belts. Is going to be challenging Kota for the new, well, not the new, but the final unified title before it's unified, and then they'll have the new ones there. So I was like, oh man, this is big. And then going to WWE, and man, there's just too much going on for me. I'm trying to bullet point it. I think I'm doing a good job at it because we don't have a pay-per-view coming up soon. We got Fastlane, that's March 21st. I don't think I got anything on NXT that's really kind of going. NXT, I will say this, that comes to mind. I love what's going on with Adam Cole and breaking up the Undisputed Era. The problem is that's becoming more interesting than your NXT championship. So you need to bring that all back together. Santos Escobar and Karrion Kross had a fantastic street fight on NXT. It was no DQ. It was played well. It made for Santos, who is a cruiserweight champion, and Karrion Kross is basically a walking mountain. You made Escobar look strong against a very good match, kind of worth it. Some of the other stories that coming into it, we'll wait and see. We'll let it marinate a little bit. I know I'm missing something, but we'll get to it eventually. At some point, there'll be title matches. Maybe I'll create a Goofs After Dark, or maybe we'll call it something cute, like the Snack Size Sports Goof session, right? Pocket Cage. No, that sounds perverted. We won't call it Pocket Cage. But we look at the other bigger stuff. So remember when we talked about Elimination Chamber last week? And The Miz had the WWE Championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then part of it was that Bobby Lashley had helped Miz beat Drew McIntyre to help him cash him in. Well, the bill's always going to be due, man. There's a book called The Wheel of Time. When you go to war, they say, what's the butcher's bill, right? I love that. I listened to it. I didn't read it. I listened to it on Audible. Pseudo side non-sponsor. But what was the butcher's bill? Bobby Lashley won his match, man. And what I liked about it was they delayed Miz being the perfect crap heel that's into it, where he didn't want to fight Miz whatsoever, or Bobby at all, because Miz knew that he would have lost, presumably lost. They were supposed to wrestle at 9 p.m. Didn't happen. He had a stomach ache. Miz was feigning cramps. It was pain going on. Then they were saying, okay, you have to wrestle at 10 p.m. And then what does Miz do? The minute the ring bell, the bell rings, he runs, grabs his title, and runs away for a 10 count. Because Bobby Lashley has benefited the most since the pandemic started. He went on this terrific run as U.S. champion. The Hurt Business just boomed up. He is the CEO of the Hurt Business. Look at that man. Spoiler to what you're seeing, but look at that man, that physique. I wouldn't want to approach him. He is terrifying. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but where he was 2 years ago. Where I'm like, he'd probably be the guy who will fist bump you. Now I think he would just like fist my butt because that's a scary dude right there, right? And then the third time in the same night it was last 10 minutes. So that's why I know I'm like, all right, Bobby's gonna win it. But then they did a lumberjack match, and he just decimated the Miz, and then he won his championship, his first WWE championship of the first time that he's been with the company for 15, well, not 15 years, but he's waited 15 years because he left to go to TNA and then came back a little bit. But you've built him, you've made him into a monster. Vince, for the love of God, do not let him have this just so Drew McIntyre can win it back again so quickly. Drew will have opportunities. He does not need a third title within a calendar year. Let Bobby have this. Let him be a monster. Don't let it be a cheap way, because for once in my life, in a long time, it feels like, Francisco, we have a guy who legitimately looks like a champion. Granted, you could say, hey, you had Brock and all that stuff, but Brock isn't as much of an everyday presence the way Bobby would be. And I think he's going to be a fighting champion. I think he'll beat some people up. I don't think he'll have the chicken, shit heel that would just run away the way Miz was. And Miz, you did your job perfectly. And I hate the fact that you only had 7 days to enjoy the ring, but you knew you were going to be a transitional champion. What this means for Mania, I do feel that it will be Drew and Bobby Lashley. I don't think Miz is going to be involved because he's going to be wrestling against Bad Bunny in a tag team match. All things considered, that's the way it should be. But don't kind of bastardize the title by doing all this hot potatoing that you've done within the last couple months, going back to the same guy. Because let me ask you this, and I mentioned it last week and I hold to it again. Are you a great champion if you had to hold the belt 3 times within 12 months? Right? It doesn't work. But congrats to Bobby. You're scary. I'm very happy for you. And the Hurt Business is actually a great stable now because they hold 2 sets of titles. They now have the WWE Championship, and they also hold the Raw Tag Team titles because Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin have it. And what I'm hoping that happens here with Bobby's reign is that it's not a snooze fest the way that Drew's was, because Drew started fine. His first feud was against Seth, but it was a one-off match, and then it built into Dolph, which actually it went to Bobby, believe it or not. Yeah, it went to Bobby, and then Bobby lost, but they didn't revisit it, and I thought they should. And then it went to Dolph, and it was like, nah. And then it went to Randy, which was good, and then Drew lost clean in Hell in a Cell, but then he was able to win it back on Raw. And now in the second run, it's all just been there. He had Russell Goldberg. You know it's no good when you got a Russell Goldberg for a title. I can't get behind that. Now, mind you, we're speaking about, little popping in the pants right now. I'll pop a little bit if I get Bobby, Drew, and maybe Brock at a triple threat at WrestleMania. I don't know if Brock wants to come back yet. He is technically a free agent, which means just send the money and I'll be there. But that beef, all that beef for a guy who loves fast food, all that beef, that's what I want. God, could you just, even if you just gave me Brock and Bobby, but I think you want the fan base there for the big fight feel. I think you kind of get away with it a little bit with the triple threat because WWE did something very similar to SummerSlam. I think it was 2017, where it was the quad patty, as I called it, of Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns, and ended with Brock pinning Roman, and then the next month, Braun and Brock, because they had an interaction, Braun looked dominant and all that stuff, and then they met at No Mercy in a snoozer of a match. But you can kind of build that a little bit too. Brock and Bobby, a little bit at that Mania with Drew as the catalyst in the in-between, and then maybe you give me Brock and Bobby at SummerSlam, because you always got to put the big money matches, I feel, on the big 4 pay-per-views, big 5 you count Money in the Bank, because, God, man, that's just money. They're both former MMA fighters. Look at Bobby. Look at him. I call him the mutant raisinette because it's literally like that old comic book story that you have from the Cartoon Network or whatever, where it's like, oh, radioactive mutant hit this thing, and now it created something monstrous and scary. I'm like, that man will mess you up. I think you look at Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar will mess you up. I think Brock Lesnar would just eat my hands because he's hungry and he wants to go. I'm like, what the hell, man? But in that match, I believe both men would destroy me, and I love them both because I love a good beefy destroyer. Because Vince always liked the big guys, but sometimes the big guys can't do much. And Bobby is limited in his wrestling, but let's be fair here. All wrestlers are going to be limited in something. The Johnny Garganos, who I love Johnny Gargano. I'll defend him to say, my buddy does it, but I'll defend him to say, Johnny Gargano can't do a full body press of you if you're 300 pounds. Whereas someone like Bobby Lashley, and that's a nice little trick because Bobby, I think, became the 5th black WWE champion. As you see it's not a full long line coming into it. And the one thing I'll take note of, you're seeing Big E with the NXT Championship. You're seeing Mark Henry with the World Heavyweight Championship, King Booker with the World Heavyweight Championship. You're seeing Keith Lee with the NXT Championship. Two things I want you to consider, because I'm not counting The Rock, and I'm not counting The Rock because of nationality. I'm counting The Rock because that was just a small stint to get Cena over. It wasn't a legitimate reign. It was transitional, I believe. He beat CM Punk. And granted, let's go on that title, unless we're going full Attitude Era, then yeah, it's all legitimate and stuff like that. Even though, ironically, Rock didn't have that many long feuds coming into it, or not long feuds, long reigns compared to some of the other people. But you look at Lee and you look at Big E, those are the NXT titles. So what I'm hoping that Bobby could do that Rock did do in his prime, not at that last time he had the title, and unfortunately what Mark Henry necessarily couldn't do, what Booker T kind of did but couldn't do, and Kofi, and I love Kofi, but he kind of suffered a little bit from the Drew effect where the challengers weren't as an elevator title. I'm hoping that Bobby can at least elevate that title to be on par with the Universal Championship, because Roman's just been killing it. The storyline's been better, the writings have been better, the matches have been fine because they're written in a particular way and produced in a particular way. But this could be refreshing for me because I don't think Bobby's going to have to wrestle Goldberg for relevancy. Just saying. But Drew will get his chance again, and he will get that chance with the live crowd. But good for Bobby. Very happy for him. All the other titles have not changed. I'll just keep that now because I made it seem like it was bigger. It's just it was across all these brands that big stuff happened revolving the titles. Big E's still the IC champion. Riddle's still the US championship champion. Bayley's not doing anything. It's Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. They're going off in wrestling at WrestleMania. They made that official. That's gonna be cool. Maybe, I don't know what's gonna happen there. I think Sasha retains, but we're way too ahead of it. Tag champions all the same, as if there's tag champions that matter, because Vince doesn't know how to do tag team wrestling. I hate it. And then Asuka still Raw's Women's Champion. But Bobby Lashley, I woke up when Drew McIntyre lost, and I'll leave it at this, Francisco. When Drew McIntyre was no longer champion because of miscashing, I woke up and I heard chirping by my window. It was beautiful. When I woke up today, it was Bobby Lashley as my champion. I heard angels singing. I thought I died and went to heaven. And that's all I got for you this week.
Okay. All right.
We got 20 minutes out of it. I knew it was going to be.
Yeah. No, that's usually around the average. That's around the average. Okay. So that is it for number 95. So we got about 5 more episodes left in this season before we take our normal break. But yeah, thank you to Brendan for popping up on the show. B Rourke Sports on Twitter. Check him out on the Indiana Pacers, Pacers.com. You'll find his writings there. So thank you to Podcorn for sponsoring this episode. So we actually got paid. So yeah. So Podcorn, for those who don't know, it's for podcasters and or advertisers out there that want to find each other with different opportunities to promote products and services and or podcast themselves. And yeah, you can even the little guys, even guys like us down here in the Marianas Trench of sports media, can find somebody out there to help out and get the word out about their products or services. So Podcorn, they've got tons of them. Like, I don't know, I think there's 90 plus different opportunities out there. So you will be able to find somebody that matches you and a service. I might also talk about them a little bit because the good UI. You have you as a podcaster, as we did, we send out a proposal to anybody that's looking for somebody who has a platform. It's like, hey, we've got this product that we want to get the word out, and we have a budget, and you're like, oh, well, we can get the word out. Here's our rate. You can put in any rate you want, like $10 per episode, whatever. And each potential sponsor, has different categories of what they want. Sometimes it's just, hey, a little shout out at the beginning of an episode, at the end of an episode, or at the middle of an episode. Sometimes they want full on, hey, we got a guy from our company that wants to come on and talk about it. Okay, you can bring him on. Or sometimes it's like, hey, we got this product. We'd like people to review it, get their genuine, gosh darn it, man. Well, Charles, I'm running out of words here. Yeah, there you go. Reaction, thoughts on it, and give us a review. So sometimes they'll ask for that too. So there's different things out there, and you can find lots of different opportunities. And I found a few from the sports world as well, and we're sending some out there too. And so Podcorn, thank you. They will be our sponsor for this episode and the next 2 episodes coming up. So you'll be hearing that on the podcast version. I might cut this out in the end. I have no idea. But regardless, thank you. And thank you to everybody who listened to this and who will listen to this in the future when I post this later on tonight. All right. That's it. I'm good. I gotta find new video games to play this month. I'm done with gigantic video games. Play Yoshi's Woolly World. I'm out. Bye.
Take care.